welcome, and I'm your MC today. I'm MC Rita. Can we have a really big one to welcome every all of you for joining us today? Thank you so much. Today, surprisingly, how many people in this room? More than 200 innovators over 40 countries getting together. Once again, give us a big applause. Thank you so much for getting together. It is a rapidly changing world that we are going to redefine how bring idea to impact to the world. So today that we gather everybody here to have this idea, and also we are going to share more insight. Today we are going to share key themes today, which is global leadership and civic engagement, technology, well-being, and innovation catalysts. So in this summit, this is not only a summit, it's also a very powerful convergence of the global energy and idea. Taipei is not only the key city of Asia, it's also a magic pad for you, the youngs, to step onto the world stage and also drive a meaningful change to the world. So let's see the world see Taiwan, and also that the change begin right here. Okay, good? To start today's summit, that we are going to begin with technology and also well-being. Technology isn't here to replace us, but is here to lift us up, and also it's about using tech to make our life better, do the choices smarter, and also to build a future that matters. So today, we are our first speaker, the opening keynote speaker, Janelle Wellons, for the former NASA engineer and also passionate devoted for using technology as a bridge for the next generation to up on the stage to deliver her insight. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. That's a welcome, Janelle Wellons.
You can't go wrong now, right? I need to point over here. There we go, yeah. Okay, so this morning I am honored to take you on a journey of my trajectory from MIT to NASA and now Tokyo, and how technology has shaped my journey to be able to open up these 3 doors. I am really excited to be here. This is my first time in Taiwan. I have always been met with kindness, with fun. I have had a lot of good food already, and I am so excited to be able to spend the rest of today talking to all of you. Okay, so I have about 20 minutes to give you guys a little bit of insight into my journey. However, I have a booth right outside, and I would love if you were to come by and chat with me so we can talk even more about all of this crazy stuff. So, before I begin, am I hitting my button? There we go. We have a disclaimer. I gotta do this. I'm sorry. Let's start with the boring stuff so we can get to the good stuff. So basically today, I am here on my own, representing myself, Janelle, to share with you my journey. So all of the opinions that I share, they come from my own brain. They're not associated with my employer. Basically, all the crazy, it comes from me, no one else. So now let's get to it. I always love to start my journey in the beginning, and here was my beginning. So when we talk about technology and how it shapes your life and where you go, for me, it started at an early age. Now, I couldn't have told you what technology was at this point in my life, but I could tell you that I was curious about it. I think for me, it all started with video games. I'll never forget when I got my first console. I think it was the GameCube. And I opened it up on Christmas Day. I'm so excited. And immediately I start plugging it in. I'm going into the TV. And my dad's like, how do you know what you're doing? I'm like, Dad, it's easy. There's colors and you plug the color into the right color. Come on. And from there, I just became more and more interested in how you actually get these things to work. I mean, think of a video game CD. It's this circle, and you put it in a machine, and suddenly you're in the world of Zelda, or you're hitting blocks and Goombas as Mario. I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that. So I can guess you can say that I had an innate interest. However, as I got older, and you know you're supposed to be thinking about what you want to do with your life and what you want to become, I was thinking all over the place, like maybe I should be a lawyer because I love fighting with my brother. Or maybe a marine biologist because I love animals. Or a writer because I love to read books. My mind was everywhere. But senior year, second to last year of high school, I came home from school, and on the kitchen table, there was a pamphlet. And I go over and I'm taking a look at it, and it's talking about how there's this summer program or something in Boston, and this school has made a lot of cool technologies like Guitar Hero. And I was like, this is cool. I'm also gonna throw it in the trash can though. So I'm walking it over and I'm throwing that pamphlet out, and my mom stops me. My mom says, Janelle, that's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. You're not throwing this away. I was like, oh, okay. How many of you have heard of MIT? Show of hands. Oh my gosh. That's so many. I had never heard of it in my entire life. I'm like, all right, whatever, Mom. Sure, we'll look at it, Mom. So we take a look at the pamphlet, and it's like, oh yeah, you should come to our school. We have a summer program. It's gonna be 60 other students just like you, learning about STEM, technology, all this great stuff. If you apply and get in, it's free. And my mom said, you see that? Free, you're applying. And so I applied, and I didn't think anything of it until I was at practice one day, and she said, you know, you gotta come home, you gotta come home. I'm like, oh, fine, Mom, I'm coming home. She's like, open the package. I'm like, Mom, relax, I didn't get in. She's like, Janelle, do you really think they sent you a package to tell you you didn't get in? I'm like, oh, yeah, you got a good point. So we opened it up. First line, it said, congratulations. And that was my start. That's the pictures that you see up here. That weird white building with all the windows, that's the dorm that I stayed in that summer. And it was really weird. It looks like a sponge and definitely captures the feeling of being at MIT. And those are some of my classmates. We had a whole project. It was amazing, a great time. And I went from not really knowing what I wanted to do to knowing that at least, I don't know, oh, there we go. At least I know I want to go to MIT, right? This is the place I want to be. I mean, the T, technology, is in the world, is in the word. And this is when I realized that this is something I wanted to be a part of. You have buildings that look like they came out of a Dr. Seuss book. You have students building roller coasters in front of their door. That on the bottom left, that's a roller coaster designed by students. And then that building. I was coming home from studying one day. What is that? Shout it out if you know. It was a game.
Tetris.
Tetris! Wait for it. This is what it was like, going to school at MIT. You come home and there's people who make Tetris on the side of the building. This is cool stuff. Okay, so at this point, I knew I was at MIT and I knew I needed to do something next, but I wasn't sure what that next was. So I spoke to upperclassmen. I spoke to students who had been at MIT for some years now, and I said, you know, I really like math, so maybe I'll become a theoretical mathematician. And they said, do not do that. They said, you know, MIT is a school known for its engineering, so how about you try engineering? Well, that sounds like a good idea. So, all right, can someone name some engineering? You can shout it out. What kinds of engineering do we have? Chemical engineering. Biomedical. Computer. Civil. There was even something called ocean engineering. I mean, the options were endless. Can I do this? Oh, there we go. But I stopped on one called aerospace engineering. Why? It had the word space in it. That's cool. Good enough for me. So I'm in this class. The professor, he's up at the front of the class just like this. He's saying, we're gonna learn about the rocket equation. I'm gonna teach you about how planes fly. And I'm also going to show you a little bit about the history of spaceflight. And he shows us this image of the Hubble telescope. Talk about technology, incredible stuff. And then he looks at us and said, oh yeah, that was me back in the day. You? I mean, my jaw was on the ground, but I looked around and my classmates didn't seem to have any reaction. They all knew who he was. They all knew that they were going to be space engineers one day. But for me, I just decided to do it. And that's all the convincing that I needed. I ended up going through as an aerospace engineer for 4 years studying this and learning all about the cool space technology that was enabling our world. And here we go. I had gone through the first door, MIT, and then I was learning about the second door, NASA. Now imagine, we're in class, and my professor says, we're gonna do a project of sending a rover to Mars, just like JPL. Or we're going to send a probe to the sun, like JPL. Or we're gonna go to Saturn, like JPL. JPL, it just kept on popping up. JPL being the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, one of NASA's premier centers building space technology to allow us to explore the universe. And in class, I was testing this out myself. This was our senior project, and actually the guy in the red who's holding that thing that kind of looks like a missile, that's Professor Hoffman. That's the astronaut who was in that introduction class who convinced me that this was a cool thing to study. And so I'm in this class, I'm doing my studies, I know about JPL, it's where I want to work, so I go and I apply. Rejected. I know, right? I apply again though. The next year I'm like, all right, I'm ready, I want to do this internship, I know now. Rejected again. I never landed the internship at NASA. Never. And my senior year, I went to them one last time saying, listen, I really want to work for you guys. And here's all the reasons why you should want me to work for you too. I kept that confidence. I took everything that I had learned and I filled myself up with a passion, and I hoped that they would feel it too. And sure enough, after I graduated, I started my job at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The second door was opened. This was my new home, located in sunny California, Los Angeles, in between the mountains where it started many years ago, before NASA had even existed. This was my home at JPL. So, what was I doing? This. You all know what this is, so I can skip this slide, right? All right, good, I need to save some time. I'm kidding. When I was hired, I was like, oh my gosh, I was excited. Let me sign the dotted line. But I had no idea what an instrument operations engineer was. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Sure. But it turns out that I actually landed one of the coolest jobs in the solar system. I was going to be working in the Mission Control Center, where we actually talk to things in space. When you think of those space movies and Houston, we have a problem, yeah, that was my team. Oh, cool. Now, the instrument though, the instrument operations, it means that I was operating the payloads that we put on spacecraft. I think like the spacecraft's like the car. It gets you from point A to point B. Well, the instruments are what answer the questions that the scientists have. The how did this happen? Where? How old is it? When did this form? I was operating the instruments using these giant antennas located all over the world called the Deep Space Network. Now this antenna is about the size of the Disneyland castle, if you want a reference. Tall, tall, tall. And we send zeros and ones and zeros computer language in order to have contact with all of our spacecraft flying out there. And these zeros and ones can be decrypted to have messages like, dare mighty things, the JPL motto. The other half of my job is this. What's going on here? So when you see those people working at Mission Control and they have those giant monitors in front of them and you're wondering what in the world are these people doing, this is what we're doing. We actually get to see all the data coming from these spacecraft and we look at it, we read it. We get to play doctor. What is the temperature of the spacecraft? What's the current? Is it having any issues? It's kind of like a kid that you're taking care of that can't really tell you what's going on when there's something going on. So you've got to figure it out by looking at the data, going through the data, and using technology in your hands. So, moving on. I was at NASA for 5.5 years. In that time, I worked on 5 missions. The Cassini mission to Saturn, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter at the Moon, the multi-angle imager for aerosols that's Earth observing, Sentinel-6, and SWAT. What a mouthful. But you know what? Instead of just walking you through all of them, how about I show you? Look at this here. What in the world is this? It's a dumpling. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. This dumpling is one of Saturn's moons that we captured with the Cassini spacecraft. My instruments that I was operating, they were cameras. I was a space photographer. That was basically my job. And we got to take pictures like this. This is the moon called Pan. It's located in between the rings, and the gravity is moving all the material to the outer edges, making it look like a dumpling. And then next, my favorite picture of Saturn. In the bottom left, you see this image with the swirls? That's a storm happening on the North Pole of Saturn, and it is showing us basically that it's the size of 3 Earths. 3 Earths. Incredible. Moving on, I also had a chance to actually touch the technology that went to space. This is me working on that Maya project I mentioned, Earth observing. It's going to be measuring particulate matter in the air that when we breathe can cause us serious heart issues, lung issues, and health issues. Very important technology that is very meaningful to all of us here today. And these Earth missions are what enable us to learn more about our planet and the ways that it's changing. And it made me very proud to be a part of it. But now the question is, why in the world did you leave? That's not the last door, right? That was door number 2. Door number 3 took me to Tokyo, where I live now and today. So what in the world happened? Technology. In Tokyo, how did I get here? Everybody, have you heard of something called LinkedIn? Yeah. That's technology, right? Social media, connecting people from all around the world. I got a random message on LinkedIn that said, hey, I know you probably don't know us, but we found your profile, and we think you would be an awesome fit to become a flight director on our first ever mission to land on the moon. Oh, and we're located in Tokyo, Japan. I said, oh, this gotta be a joke. Like, why in the world would they reach out to me? Come on now. What makes me so special? So I decided to do the interview just to find out. And then I got the job. It's like, oh, this isn't a joke anymore. Gotta think about it. So I thought about it and I realized, you know what, I'm not ready. But I thought about it for another year and I realized, what am I talking about? Another country is inviting me to go there, experience something new, and help them land on the moon? Yeah, I'm gonna go. And I went, and I'm there. And I can't believe the cultural experiences that I have, because this has opened up such a new world for me to be outside of my home country, speaking to people from all around the world, and even getting to experience things like climbing the summit of Mount Fuji. Yeah, I did that. That was no big deal. It hurts a lot, just in case you're wondering. It hurts. But I made it. So here in Tokyo, I have many titles. The first of which is that I'm a flight director. That means that when we think of that Houston, I have a problem room, I'm the person in charge. I'm the one wearing the headset and driving the show. I'm the one reminding everyone why we are here and what job we are trying to accomplish. I also got a new title in this past mission called the Deputy Mission Director. This means that when things get real bad, I can also step in to make decisions that affect the entire mission. What a cool experience. But again, I think it's better to just show you. Look at this. This is the moon. We were there. We took this video. Incredible. I can't believe I had the pleasure of this kind of job. And then here's me in action in the dark room with my team who I love dearly. And a picture that is probably one of my favorites of us capturing an Earthrise happening over the moon's horizon. And by the way, we found out we also captured a solar eclipse happening over Australia. That was unintentional, but we got it. And then this amazing photo from our very last mission, flying by the moon. Really special memories that I'm very thankful to be a part of. And all of this to say is that you have to be willing to open the doors that are presented to you. Technology can seem very daunting. It can seem difficult. It can feel like a roadblock that's in our way to being able to reach our dreams. But what I like to tell you all is that technology is so much more than that. It can enable you. It can allow you to reach those moonshots. It can take you to places that you've never seen and connect you with people that you never thought you'd be in the same room with. So what I'd like to tell you all is to take advantage of today. Take it all in. Speak to your neighbors. It is so thankful to be here with you all, and I hope to see you later at my booth so we can talk more about space. Thank you.
Morning. And before I start, I just want to give another shout out to Janelle, who set the bar really high. It's so nice to see everybody. I unfortunately cannot take you guys to the dumpling next to Saturn or the moon, but instead I have a more personal story to share. And that before I start, I just want to say it's super lovely and it's just so great to see everybody here. Like, do you guys feel the energy? Like the energy of like being open and connect. And I really think that that's something amazing. So let me get started. So today when Jossy, my friend who's organizing this event, she asked me to talk more about my story and then how it's at an innovation summit, I started thinking a little bit more because I'm not here to talk about innovation applying to a product or innovation applying to a technology. Like, what do I have to share? But I think for my story, it's actually, if you think about it, innovation is everywhere in our life, and then more specifically, applying innovation to how we live and how we continue to pave our own way. So I think that's sort of the context of my story. My story is so before I start, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about me. I am here from Taipei, Taiwan. I grew up here. So I was educated, born here in Taiwan. Went to National Taiwan University for law school. After that, because I grew up in Taiwan, so how many of you are actually local from Taipei here? So a lot of you, right? So I'm sure that you can relate to this. I actually love the experience of growing up in Taiwan, but for me, I always felt like Taiwan's a beautiful island, but it was small. I really wanted to see the world. So that urge to like be curious and see the world was always there. And then later on, life took me down the path of business, went to a lead consulting firm, McKinsey. I don't have like the space photos or the McKinsey photos, but you probably have to follow my story. But went to McKinsey and Harvard Business School, so I saw a lot of the world, which is like really cool. But at the same time, I think there's always a through line. The through line was that we're in a way very privileged, right? You have the educational resources, you have the connections, but what's a path that's not just prestigious? That's not what I'm trying to chase for. What's a path that's purposeful and also like deeply you? So that was always my question. And then the funny thing is, we'll go through the story, but actually, right now, I'm the founder of Mama Laoshi Club. And you're probably really confused. What's Mama Laoshi? For those of you that don't speak Chinese, Laoshi actually means teacher. So it's kind of like Mama Teacher Club. It's everything that your mom would teach you, and that's what we're teaching our kids now. It's actually a nonprofit focused on kids media. So from back in the days, law school, McKinsey, to Mama Laoshi Club, which right now I actually serve kids that are 3 to 6 years old. So you guys have no idea how happy I am talking to you guys, which is like a very civilized, educated group of grown-ups. It's an absolute privilege. So this is like a little bit about me, and I'll continue and use the rest of the time to share sort of the journey to get to before all the way to now. Okay. All right, so this is also another recap of my journey, but probably going a little bit deeper. So like I said, early on in my career as like a Taiwanese, I wanted to see more of the world. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, like you're young in your career, right? This is the Global Youth Summit. So you guys are all super young, you're eager to explore. You want to build up your like soft skills and your hard skills, and you just want to meet more people. So I was there for many years. I took the more conventional path. Looking back, I'm so grateful for all the opportunities. May it be at like business school or consulting, or later on I worked in tech. These were all amazing opportunities that really opened up my world and my mind, and it really built up your skills. But somewhere around 5 years ago, probably in the later end of that path, I started to have more of like bubbling questions. And I'm curious to hear if some of you are experiencing that. So those questions are more like, hey, I actually love what I'm doing. I'm learning a lot. At the same time, is there something else that's waiting for me, right? Like, there's so much unknown. Like, similar to Janelle, I'm really curious. I'm curious not just about the world, but also by myself, like my own fate, my future. What could that path be? And then what could a purposeful path be, right? It's not just about using your talents, but applying it to something beyond yourself. So those were the questions that became coming up. And then another, oops, sorry, let me go back actually. And another really important thing was that around that era, I actually became a mom. So this is probably a bit more remote to the audience here. Like, any parents in this room? Only the speaker table. Okay. So this is probably further away from everybody's experience, but I wanted to share this. After becoming a mom, it also became a very pivotal point for me to help me rethink, because you know, you're early and when you're young, like what you guys are right now, you think a lot about yourself and your path. But after becoming a mom, I'm like, oh wow, there's a lot more responsibilities, wishes, and things that I have to balance. So all of these, like everything that I said, really just like propelled and pushed me to start innovating and really figuring out what that path could be. All right, so what did I do? It's almost like launching your own rocket ship, right? Like you're trying to figure out, like, you're trying to reach for the moon, but you actually have so much like groundwork and experiment to do. But it's just that everything that you do is like within. It's like the inner self. So for me, once I had that intention to sort of like step away from the more conventional path, and by the way, like I graduated from Harvard Business School, which let's say 90% of the people are on very successful conventional path. that pressure is pretty big to innovate and be a rebel and then step out and step away from that. So I was definitely nervous. So this process, now looking back, I don't think I was the most strategic in terms of like, step one, let me do this to figure out the path. Step two, it was actually more of like a, hey, you know what? We actually have to experiment and innovate. So there's a couple of things that I did, and I can share with you. First off, my husband, who's also like a fellow MBA, we always have family meetings. So this big path decision, I actually had to have multiple meetings to align with him. And the process took pretty long. It took me like truly 2 years to have the courage to go like, hey Nancy, you're gonna be okay. You'll figure out a way. You don't know the answers now. A lot of you, I'm sure, like you're thinking about your future. You don't know the answers now, but you'll find something. So that's the first thing, like alignment. And also, sometimes we just have to admit that there's a limitation to what we know, right? We don't know about the unknown. So like being able to like talk to a lot of people and research a lot of like people ahead of you. That's, I feel like looking back, something that I did that I'm really grateful. I talked to more than 200 people. Like, unfortunately, there was no ChatGPT at the time of my life confusion, or else I'd be a lot more efficient. But basically, I started researching like, hey, what are potential paths out there? It's almost like, think about your life as you're planning your travel, right? Like, what are the different ways that you can spend your time? So that was super helpful for me. But last but not least, all the planning in the end, you just have to take the leap. You have to take action. You have to try. You have to find that inner explorer energy in yourself to try different things. For me, at that time, I didn't know if I was going to go into kids education or to go into like something different, but I knew that I wanted to try different things. And then actually, sorry, this slide clicker isn't working the best. Oops. All right, we got it. All right, so on the point of trying things out, it's funny, like at that time, I had an inkling that maybe kids education would be something interesting for me. Maybe I wanted to make videos to help more kids learn, but honestly, I didn't know anything about doing any of this. So when I say try things out, it really is to get your hands dirty. I was learning how to film, like thinking about, hey, for kids content, you probably need a puppet, right? But who's gonna operate the puppet? Find my neighbor to come over to like operate the puppet. So I think the key message here is you dream, you think about things, you research paths, you talk to different people, you have ideas, but truly you just have to try and learn. And then a little bit of like what I landed on. Oh, I tried so many different things that we do not have the time to go into today. And you probably don't want to hear it. A lot of failures. But I eventually landed on building something called the Laoshi Club. And just like I told you guys and shared with you earlier, Laoshi means mom. I realized after I became a mom, there's just so many things that you want to teach your child, right? It's both skills and character, like facing the future of so much unknowns. What are the things that you can give to them? And on top of it, like the pandemic happened at that time. So we were truly homeschooling for 2 years. So it's really interesting, like how life, when you're searching for something, and then their context of like the greater environment, it's almost like fate pushing you on this journey. So that's when I started like being more serious of like, hey, I think this is the thing I want to do. Because I didn't just want my child to be successful. Like for me, I found meaning in terms of like being able to help more kids. Yeah, so it's really fun. Like right now you ask me specifically day to day what I do. I make educational videos to teach children. I make podcasts. There's a podcast called You Can Ask Mama Laoshi Anything. And then we go on a journey and a quest to ask like experts to answer. So really we want kids to be curious, we want them to be competent, but with their North Star character. Yeah, and then I'm just like, we're still early in the journey, but I'm proud that right now we can say that we're serving around 100K families and kids all around the world. So it's really been like a true blessing. Okay, but the thing is, the journey is not over. And then obviously with all the trial and errors, I learned a lot, right? These are some of like the quick learnings and reflections that I want to share with you today. First off, finding your unique path is no easy thing. it's definitely not for a fainted heart. It requires so much effort because it's the less traveled, the less like conventional path. But the cool thing is that once you're on this journey, it's almost like the whole universe is like helping you. You'll see like opportunities opening up, people that you weren't able to talk to before willing to talk to you. So I think it's just like something that's like almost deeply philosophical. And then for me, if I have any advice to talk to the younger self, which 5 years ago, I truly didn't know which path I would be going down, I would just say, be very open to experiences. Because there's so much limitation to how much we each know. Like you could think that, oh, I went to like this school, that school, or I did this and that. But still, like in terms of human experiences, you only have that sliver of experience that you live. So I think talking to more people, being open to opportunities, it's the best. And then in this process, don't forget, innovation doesn't apply only in products and ideas. Innovation applies to yourself and your path. And in order to do that and truly innovate, you need to figure out the needs of the users, right? You guys all know this, but who's the user? Yourself. Yeah. So it's a process. It's okay, don't clap, just internalize. So I think if I can leave anything, it's less energetic, bold, and big, but if I can leave anything to this crowd who's like bubbling with youth and you guys have amazing futures ahead of you, is that in this innovative process, try to learn everything you can about yourself. Through these tested experiences, ask yourself, do I like this? Do I not like this? Like, hey, what makes me click? There's so many problems to solve in the world, which is a blessing, I think, which means that there's so many problems for you to pick on to figure out what's my unique path to help and contribute to this world. Yeah, so I think that's the most important thing I want to share with this group. Before I leave the stage, I also want to say, guys, I would love to connect more. We're all staying around for the rest of the day. So if you have thoughts or your own story to share, I can't wait to hear about it. Remember, internalize, find your own path, make the world better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, we are going to years in Taiwan helping company hiring senior talent. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alan.
Hello everyone. So my name is Alan Mclvor. I'm from Edinburgh, Scotland, but I've lived in Taiwan for 16 years now. So I was in Taiwan. I teach at NTU. I teach MBA classes around Taiwan, but my main job is as a recruiter. I'm an executive search consultant, we call it. So I help people find very senior level jobs. Okay, so a lot of the advice today is going to be a bit more like, you can do anything. And I'm going to be a bit more like, advice with a hammer. So I'm going to try and give everyone a bit more of a realistic, just what I've experienced. Think about this advice as like things I wish I had known when I graduated university. Okay? Okay, what does it take to build a successful career in Asia? A lot of this advice will be relevant to wherever you are, doesn't matter, but some of it will be relevant to Asia specifically, okay? Okay, acceptance of reality. Okay, so it's really important to know that careers are often very, very difficult, right? So if you're going to be paid a lot of money, then it's going to be really hard, it's going to be boring sometimes, it's going to be exhausting. Some of your bosses are going to be awful, right? It's a common complaint why people leave jobs. Sometimes it'll be unfair, sometimes you'll have to deal with politics in the office, which people can really struggle with. Okay, so there you go. Jobs are difficult. An important lesson from somebody who has dealt with hundreds of different clients is that all companies have their good and their bad parts. Okay, so you're talking about McKinsey. How long were your hours when you were working at McKinsey? Ridiculous. Okay? So if you want to work for Google, Uber, Apple, these kind of big giant companies, yes, they can be incredibly satisfying, but also incredibly challenging and really competitive. and you'd be expected to work all hours all the time, right? And then working for the big Taiwanese companies can be really cool as well. TSMC is a big client of mine. They are amazing. They're doing incredible things. Also, very difficult place to work, difficult place to get into, okay? All jobs have their good parts, bad parts, right? Every company is exactly the same. I think the third point I want to make is about your long game. So it's important to understand who you are specifically and what you want, right? So if think about it as in making concessions. I can have a bit of this, but maybe I sacrifice this. If you want to work in an NGO or a charity, well, what is the famous thing that you lose out on, usually? Money. Okay, there you go. If you want to do some good in the world, maybe you won't make as much money. You can work in tobacco and help people smoke cigarettes. You'll make a bunch of money, but you're also going to be killing people. You know what I mean? You can work in medical system. Every job has different ups and downs. It's important to know what you specifically want. Like, the last point I'm saying is cool. Yeah, I used to work in the music industry, right, for Warner Brother Records. And my uncle, who's a CEO, and he used to be the CFO of Virgin, he's like, what's the average age in the Warner Brothers office? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe 28? And she's like, why do you think everyone's 28? Because they don't pay any money. So people leave, right? Okay, there's no right and wrong answers when you're talking about career. Everything is gray. There's no yes, I should do this, no, I shouldn't do this. You have to follow your own path. I always describe careers as being a bit like a powerful river. And once you're on that river, you're going where it's going to take you. And it's very difficult to get out and be like, oh, now I want to do sales in the pharmaceutical industry. So you've got to really think about which path you're taking yourself. Okay, the way to do that is to know who you are. Know what your personality is. And I'm talking big 5 personality. So a lot of people are really into MBTI these days. I personally don't really like MBTI. Focus on big 5 personality. If you are an extrovert, maybe do sales. If you're an introvert, become a software engineer. Do what is good for you, right? I see a lot of people who have chosen the wrong type of function or industry, and they're too deep into change. It's a really good idea, next point, to do something that is easy for you and quite difficult for others. So, I mean, even standing on stage now, a lot of people are afraid of public speaking, right? For me, I find it really easy. It's going to be difficult to get the microphone off me. I really enjoy the attention, right? A lot of people find that really difficult. But in the same theory, like software engineers, I don't know the first thing about coding or anything like that. So the point is, do something that is easy for you. You find it really interesting, but other people find it hard. That's how you find your niche. It will be easier to sustain your career if you're genuinely interested in your industry. Our last speaker, Nancy, was talking about having a kid and then maybe diverting a little bit towards childhood education. If you're really passionate about that, your career will be so much easier. I was joking with some of the other speakers earlier. A lot of my job is going to a coffee shop and then you meet a really interesting person and then you chat for an hour. I mean, that's fun though. For me, that's working. I love it. So do something that you find really interesting and it'll make your career so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you really quickly what recruiters and HR and CEOs are looking for when they look at your CV. What are they trying to hire? Okay, so if you look at a CV, I would call your CV your hard skills. So your educational background, really important. Even I recruited a sales director role recently and our candidates were about 50 years old and the company still cared about the bachelor's degree, right? So it's a misnomer to think that once you're into a career, your educational background no longer matters. Not true. Your educational background always matters. The prestige of the companies that you work for, you're going to be judged on the brands of the companies that you've worked for, okay? So if you've worked for Google or Apple, your CV will look shinier than if you have worked for maybe a lower regarded technology company. The years spent in the job, okay. In our industry, we call it jumping. It's a good idea to stay in a company for, let's say, 3 years, right? If you keep jumping every 8 months, And you're going to stop getting interviews at the jobs that you want because you'll be considered unreliable. So longevity is important too. Promotions, right? If you leave a company before you get promoted every time, you're going to look like you can't hack it, right? You want to look like you've achieved things. You want to look like you've achieved promotions, titles, achievements, okay? Then the second part, how do you actually get jobs? That's not really to do with your hard skills, that's to do with your soft skills. And I would really encourage you to think about that separation, okay? So your hard skills CV versus your soft skills. In an interview, they're going to be analyzing how they feel about you as a person, okay? It's going to be much less about the university you went to and much more about how charming you are. Can you tell a good story? Do you make eye contact, right? All of these things. Think about the clear separation, hard skills, soft skills, and how that works out. Being charming, charismatic, funny. Okay, the last one is definitely the most controversial that I'm going to talk about. It's to do with presentable. Presentable is a euphemism that we use in our industry to mean good looking, right? So what I'm saying is not that you have to be good looking to get good jobs. What I'm saying is the better looking you make yourself, as in maximizing your own physical appearance to do with clothes and haircut, is going to make you more hireable. And people hate saying that, but it's super, super true. Oh, too far. Oh, too far. No, Tracie. No. Okay, here we go. The nuances of working in Asia. This is my last slide. Okay, so the nuances of working in Asia, especially if all of you want to settle, let's say, in Taiwan or Japan, obviously every market is very, very different. But the foreigners that I know who have done very well here, they adapt to the local culture, especially with regards to communication. So communicating disagreements and communicating with the upper level can be very, very different here. And you've got to be really, really sensitive about it. So there's an idea of face in Taiwan and a few other Asian countries. And that means that confronting bosses in a public setting can be a really bad thing for your career. It's the kind of thing you want to be very, very sensitive about. So giving opinions can be really, really good, but you have to find a way to make sure it's deemed constructive, right? Communicating disagreements, face-to-face conversation. Okay, I'll give you one big tip. Never have a fight over an email or a text, right? If you're going to have a fight, do it face-to-face, right? And do it one-on-one. I can tell you, the thing that saved my early career in Taiwan was speaking to my managing director, and she wanted to start a fight with me, and I said, okay, let's do this. So we went into her office, closed the door, and said, okay, let's discuss this face-to-face. If I had sent emails during this fight, I would have been fired. Okay, how to get feedback on your performance when others are reluctant to give it. So this is really important. In Asia, I found the feedback loop is not particularly healthy, right? So if you want to improve in your career, you want to find a way to get healthy constructive feedback. And you also, if you become a boss, you want to find a way to get constructive feedback from your employees, and they don't want to give it, right? So the best advice I ever got was about one-on-one settings and about making things much more comfortable for the employees and the employers, right? It seems to be that in group settings, things are a bit more less open. And when you go to one-on-one setting, that makes it much more easier for a lot of the subordinates to give you actual positive feedback. Yeah. So, thank you very much. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Once again, applause to Alan. Thank you really much for helping us to find the right career path. Do the thing. Public affairs and education. And now we are going to invite her to up on the stage to share her idea with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tracie.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for having me, and also thank you Anna for giving me the mic. We weren't sure it's gonna happen, but we're very glad. So hello everyone, I'm Tracie, I'm from Fulbright, Taiwan. Fulbright is a binational organization. It's actually the largest scholarship program as well, and we help to promote the mutual understanding between Taiwan and the US through a lot of cultural and educational exchange. So we have a booth outside. Please go see our booth if you're interested in learning more about our scholarship opportunity. And a little bit about myself. So I was born and raised in Taiwan. I'm actually from Taoyuan on the city next to the airport. And I went to the public school all my way up. And then for undergrad, I went to National Taiwan University, studied international affairs. So my job trajectory should be become a diplomat because I'm studying international affairs. But later I'll explain how that didn't happen. And then I moved to the business side of things, and I went to work for digital marketing for Amazon startup and also BCG, the competitor of McKinsey. So there are a lot of things happening, and today I want to share about the topic of global career and what that meant to me and my personal journey along finding my way and finding the purpose of my career. And I hope that experience will shed some light on the journey that you're exploring and just give you some ideas and what that might be. Oh, should we go this way? Oh, is it going the right way? Oh, sure. So I want to start with a question that, what could a global career mean to you? What does that mean to you? So because I started to learn English at grade 7, I believe it's a lot later than most of you, and I don't have much international exposure back then, and both my parents are first generation undergrad, and they never went study overseas. So my imagination of what a global career looks like mostly come from my father's experience. So he worked for a global manufacturer in automobile, and because of the job, so he got chances to travel to Japan, to Germany, to talk to those manufacturers. And I saw him study German and Japanese just to have a better conversation with the local people. And later on, he relocated to China to have his own business. So that is all I have for what a global career looks like. So it's speaking another language, working with foreign people, and working in a global firm, or relocate to another country. So that's what I wanted to do at the time. So my early attempt to go global. So you see the little blue point right there, a tiny little Taiwan, but it's the center of my world. So I apologize if any of your country is kind of on the side, but that's my worldview, like having Taiwan in the center. And that's where I spend most of my time. For 20 years I've spent in Taiwan. And then I tell you about I studied international affairs, so I got an internship in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Taiwan. After third year, I realized I didn't want to do this. Because at the time, I thought, Taiwan is such a small country. What can we do in diplomacy? We're not even a part of the United Nations. What can we do? So I don't want to do this. I didn't want to do this back then. But now my office is actually one of the building of Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So that goes back. And then, but at the time, that's my thought. So instead, I worked in a tech company, and I was selling motherboards of servers and computers in Asia. So that was my first full-time job. And at that time, when we were having meeting with all the other colleagues, I saw, oh, my market is so small. And the big market is in China. I need to go to China. I need to get out of Taiwan because Taiwan is too small. I can't stay here. My career will be ruined if I stay here. So that was the nightmare. I've now moved back to Taiwan. So at the time, that's my thought. Then very luckily, I got referred to one of my ex-colleagues to have a job in Beijing, working in a digital advertising company. And I work with Fortune 500 company clients for their digital marketing strategy. And I was very, very young at that time, like 22 when I just started. But because at that time, very luckily, the internet industry is taking off in China. So whatever you do related to internet, you're onto something, right? So I was just very lucky. And at the age of 22, I started to work on clients with budget like $100,000 US dollars, and then $1 million US dollar, $2 million, $4 million. At the age of 25, I was really charged with $4 million clients. So I was like, oh, that was really getting onto something, pretty nice. And then I was like, so what next? So I was really like in charge of the China market at the time. I said, I need to go further and we need to go somewhere else. So I was very lucky. I got approached by an ex-colleague again and asked me if I want to run their Asia expansion. It's with a US startup, later acquired by Amazon. And at the time, they were thinking about going global, especially going to Asia. So I had the opportunity to work on their post-acquisition integration in 5 different Asian countries, in Thailand, in Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Taiwan as well. Yeah, so there are different countries that I'm hoping to acquire. It was very, very exciting. I was still pretty young, but I got to work on a very big deal of the acquisition and also talking to all different countries people, like feeling like I'm the boss. Yeah. So it was pretty fun, but the business model of the group buying business wasn't just very sustainable. So at the time I was thinking, maybe I should move on to somewhere else. And where should I go? I want to go further. So I went to the great United States. And it was a life-changing experience. So I went to MIT. Yeah, and it was fascinating. I would say it's one of the greatest schools in the world. There's a lot of great university in the US. So I was feeling like, okay, I'm collecting all the countries under my badge. So I was like feeling pretty good about myself. But at MIT, I met so many different people from all the countries, just like our crowd today from all the different places. And I started to see people that are not just working for their own prestige. They're not just thinking about how much achievement I can do. They're thinking about how they can contribute to their community, just like Janelle said, what can we do with our own expertise and to serve bigger group of people and to better help the community that they come from. So that really struck me, seeing that, for the longest time, I only thought about myself. I want to do big things. I want to collect all the credentials on my resume. I never thought about what's the purpose of doing it. Why would I do that? So I keep asking myself about the question. And then I decided to move back to China. So if you remember the map, I started from Taiwan into China, and then to the Asia Pacific region, and then to the US. And now I'm coming back. The reason I want to come back is through the process of redefining what a global career could be. I want to come back to where I'm mostly needed. And at the time, I feel why I decided to come back to China and join BCG was that I feel at that time, there are a lot of the China economy is booming. A lot of the international companies want to come to the US market, and a lot of Chinese companies want to go overseas. And with my experience in Asia expansion, in business marketing, and also my understanding of the US and the Asia region, I feel that was the place I was mostly needed, that I can contribute the most. That's why I decided to come back. Of course, people would argue that, oh, BCG is a great company, you're still collecting your badges, trying to build your credentials. Yes, I think that is part of it. But the bigger reason why I want to come back instead of taking on my offer with another tech company in the US is that I want to move closer to home because I feel that is where I can contribute the most. And then 5 years ago, during COVID, our family decided to relocate back to Taiwan. So it started as kind of a personal reason, but then I was looking for a job. I didn't know Alan back then, otherwise I'd ask his advice. But I kind of just browsed through LinkedIn, like Janelle did. So I was browsing through LinkedIn and I stumbled upon a job opening at Fulbright Taiwan. So Fulbright Taiwan, I heard about it during my college time. I know one of my years I was applying for this Fulbright scholarship, so I heard about it, but I never really know what that is. So it turned out it's an organization active in more than 160 countries, and it's the largest scholarship program in the world. And in Taiwan, we're actually having more than 400 grantees every year. So we send 100 Taiwanese to the US and more than 300 US grantees to Taiwan. So that includes students getting graduate degrees, including teachers, scholars, and even professionals who want to advance their international exposure. So it's a big scholarship program. And what that has to do with me was that the opening was about promoting US education. And back then, when I was looking for opportunity, I didn't have much help in applying for the schools in the US or knowing much of the information around it. So it was really a time of giving back my experiences, promoting what the value is of the US education, and sharing those opportunities with a bigger crowd. And in doing that, I feel like I was partially helping my younger self, but also empowering the next generation where I feel so excited about. I know my time is up, so I want to kind of end. This song has been in my head but I won't sing it just now. Sing it? Sure. Karaoke time. Okay, I'll try to sing it. Okay. See the light where the sky meets the sea. It calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. Out here. Yeah, but I think the point is that it calls me. So among all the different options, there will be something that's calling you. And what that is, we need to find out what that is. So I just end with some of the advice I would give to my younger self. One is that we don't really need to go far to accomplish things. We started where we are, and we say yes to the things that you feel meaningful to you. The path is unique. The purpose is unique. It's unique to you. So you need to find out what that is. And with all the different options you might have, go to the places that need you the most. with your value, with your heart, your passion, the things you really want to accomplish, that would be where you shine. And the last is that the purpose whispers, meaning that it may not be so obvious or it may not be loud, but if you listen carefully, you will find it. You will find that call, and that call will lead your way. So just really at that, and thank you for your time. I hope we can discuss more about the future opportunity and any thoughts at our booth, our Fulbright booth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracie. Thank you so much for allowing us to really think that international career is not only where we were, but also what we cause and how can we serve the community and also
Alright, that was my design, obviously. Well, thank you so much. I just want to take a moment to soak it all in, because, oh my god, you are over just a name on the Excel. You actually all have a face and even a body. I am very excited, and as you can imagine, it was a very, very simple task to get 200 of you from 20 countries and 48 cities right here, right now in this room. So, easy peasy. And it was all made possible because of the Taipei city government. It was a lot of many people's hard work and a lot of love to bring all of you right here. So I think that alone deserves a big round of applause. Please join me. Thank you, Taipei. I'm so excited. Continue the conversation with my friends. So with this, I'm going to welcome them back to the stage, and then we're going to chat. Right? Good. Anyone has the mic? Not yet. Okay, no. So I'm going to start with Janelle. So Janelle, your first time in Taipei?
First time.
Oh my god, who here is a first timer like Janelle? Raise your hand. Woo! Welcome! Alright, so Janelle, you can literally go to everywhere in the world. I mean, seriously, including the outer space. And the ducklings floating in outer space. So what made you say yes to the invitation from Taipei?
Well, first, I wanted another opportunity to be with you. Did you all know that we met at an MIT event earlier this year? I mean, this is what I mean by that the world works in mysterious ways. I'm so thankful for that meeting because that's why I'm here today. But then when you say, why Taipei? I had heard of Taiwan for, I don't know, I can't say when I started, but for I feel like most of my life. And when I talk to people about Taiwan, especially before coming here, mostly they were like, food, food. You need to eat. And I have been eating, and my personal trainer has been watching me on Instagram very closely. The food is amazing, but what I've noticed most of all since being here is that the people, they're so nice. I got here and realized immediately that I had messed up because I do not know any Chinese. None. And I was like, oh, I should have studied a little bit. But I found that people are just so open and they see me struggling and they're like, oh, you know, like, it's just a very nice environment. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so great to hear. So precisely, Janelle and I met at the lunch line at an MIT conference. We just started talking to each other while we were waiting for lunch. So this is a good lesson learned. Like today, talk to people next to you, because you never know that maybe will lead to another international trip to somewhere, or even outer space trip. All right, well, thank you, Janelle. And so back to Nancy. Nancy, I'm so proud of you. Oh my God, we used to party together and go clubbing 20 years ago. 20s and 30s, while rocking babies together, and 40s, we are sharing the stage. So very proud of my friend. Nancy, you're a Taipei girl, now thriving in the
global stage. So what do you see Taipei play the role in your future roadmap now and in the future?
I really am a Taipei girl. And Taipei really plays such an important role in my life because I now actually have the perspective of being away. I live in the States now, and I've been in the States for the past 15 years, and I feel like when you're away from something that you love, and sometimes you come back, there's just like more space to reflect on what's truly important. And then to Jossy's question, it's really interesting. I feel like where we are from, like the city has a personality, character of its own, and sometimes you don't notice how much it actually influences you as a person. So we're in Taipei, like growing up I didn't think too much about it, but looking back, the characteristic of Taipei is friendly. We're just like a very friendly city, and people are open to ideas. Like people are open to having dialogues. People are curious. That curiosity is in our DNA. And then I feel it very strongly now, especially because I work with young kids. And oftentimes I'm like, hey, why are these such core values for me? And I would like to pass on to the next generation. And I think about like, oh, it's actually because of how I'm raised and where I grew up and the people that I interact with. So Taipei truly plays a very important role. And now looking into the future, I'm actually pretty excited because even though I'm based in the US now, I do have the privilege of working with a lot of people from Taipei and Taiwan. And the talent and the connections and the resources is just really amazing here. So I always come back. Every summer I bring my children back to learn Chinese. So every time we come back, I feel like the nourishment of the city, Taipei, like nourishing both my stomach, my soul, as well as giving me a lot of inspiration. So Taipei, I'm truly, truly grateful towards.
Yeah, Taipei certainly have a special place in our heart. And I was very surprised because to the audience that you need to introduce yourself, because often with my Mandarin-speaking family friends, like everybody was like, you know Mama Laoshi? She's your friend? Can I get a autograph?
If your friend's three,
So,
they would
yeah,
know.
she's the person with no introduction, but glad that you will all get a chance to get to know her today. So lucky you. Ellen!
Hello.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun listening to you. And so Ellen has been in Taipei for 16 years
16
precisely.
years.
So that was actually the time that I've been in Boston.
Oh wow.
I
So,
for you.
yeah.
Something. So what first brought you to Taipei and what made you stay?
I had no idea what I was doing. So I came to Taiwan, I had never been here, never been to Asia, I didn't speak a word of Chinese. And I stayed because I love it. I feel very happy here. I've been here 16 years, it's my home. I don't think that you can put a price on safety. And Taiwan is the kind of place where you can walk around and interact with people and feel there's no threat. There's no threat of violence, there's no threat of crime. Taiwan is the kind of place where you can be in a Starbucks with your laptop and phone and go and pee. And no one's going to steal your stuff, you know? Taiwan's the kind of place where if you leave your wallet in a taxi, it comes back to you because they open it and they don't take any money and they look at your address and then they find you. You can't put a price on the quality of life that comes with that kind of general friendliness and general safety feeling. So I really love it here. And I hope you all enjoy it, especially the people, the foreigners in the room who are new here. It's a lovely place.
That's wonderful. And it's a little bit too nice because you also said that you always have a hammer. So I want to reality check.
The hammer is good advice. This is stuff you should know, just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm being kind to you by being nasty.
But you brought so many people here. I'm giving you more time with your mic, by the way. So you brought so many people here. What drove them here? And also, like, what sometimes make them leave? Help us with a little bit of reality check.
So I think with Taiwan, it is a lovely market, but is still small. So if you're looking for a regional position based in Taiwan, that can be quite difficult. A lot of the big Taiwanese companies, they can be good places to work, but also quite traditional culture-wise.
Yeah.
So things like top-down management and indirect communication can be an issue. So some people, I mean, like a lot of the speakers on the stage, they have looked to Singapore and Boston and APAC, Shanghai roles, and that makes sense. So I think if you're looking for a bigger job in a more regional scope, sometimes you have to leave, but often the draw to come back is quite powerful too. As I'm sure a lot of the people on the stage have found. Yeah.
Naughty. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Tracie! I'm so proud. I was looking at your BCG offer letter with the address that I used to be home at the MIT dorm, 70 Pacific. We share the same dorm. So it's amazing to watch your journey. And now in such an amazing position of helping Taiwan and the US, and the Fulbright actually reached a lot of different places, and US was like some of the world's best leaders. So in this global leadership conversation, so what are you looking for in the Fulbright scholars? What kind of qualifications, characteristics? Like, how can someone be part of this very amazing community of Fulbright scholars?
Thank you for the question. So the Fulbright Scholarship Program, we have scholars, that's more like professor roles, but we also have teachers, English teachers or Mandarin teachers going to the US, and also students getting graduate degrees. So there are all different kind of programs. We have more than 400 grantees every year. But the core value we're looking at, of course, you need to be accomplished in some of your professional academia area. But the key value we're looking at is your heart to share your culture, and also the mission of bringing the cultural exchange through your program, that you're willing to become the advocate for the world peace, and also for your country. Like if you're Taiwanese, you are willing to become Taiwanese ambassadors in the US, and if you're American, you're willing to share your culture here in Taiwan. So I think that is the central piece that we're looking at, is your willingness to share, and your willingness to connect with your community. I think that is the biggest thing we're looking for.
That's amazing. It sounds very much aligned with how we selected to this group of people right here as a community. So I encourage all of you to learn outside of the Yeah. All right, my second question is to all of you actually. So you've all made bold decisions in your lives. So we're curious whether you have any mindset, framework, guiding principles that you would like to share with the audience today, especially those in their 20s or 30s trying to make important decisions for their future. So. Whatever. Yeah.
Here. Hello. Okay. Guiding principles. When I look back on my career path and how I've gotten to where I am, which now all of you all know my business, I realized that one of the most important things for me has been not being afraid to just take the risk. Everything that I've done has been with the grain of, but I don't know what's going to be on the other side. And the unknown can be a very scary thing. I mean, I didn't know anything about MIT, and what I didn't tell you all is after I applied to the program, I actually looked up MIT for the first time online. And when I looked it up, all I could see was number one, best in the world, this, that. I'm like, why in the world did my mom make me apply to this? There is absolutely no way I'm going to be accepted. And then lo and behold, I was. Now just imagine if I had decided not to try because I was afraid of being rejected. I wouldn't very likely be here today. And so always trying and not giving up on your goals and not being afraid to take the risk is so essential if you want to live the life that you're aiming for and have that fulfillment. And you've got to be okay with sometimes being told no. You just make them say yes. Eventually they will.
That is amazing. I'm so grateful that you took a risk to talk to a student standing next to you at the lunch line so we can all be here today.
That's right.
Thank you. All right, Nancy.
I love this question because I think about it a lot. I usually work with little kids. We're doing like volcano experiments, but that's not just what we teach them. We also teach them about an attitude towards life. So to Jossy's question, in terms of if there's some things I want to share with you all, is first off, really echoing Janelle's point, right? Like, go try things, like explore. I feel like everybody's innately curious. Like, don't suppress that curiosity. Follow your curiosity, let that curiosity be the fuel for you to keep on exploring, but you're just not blindly exploring. This exploration should be an iterative learning process, echoing all the lean startup principles. Like you're exploring to learn, you're exploring to collect data, to learn more about the world as well as yourself. So keep doing that. Make that a virtuous cycle. You explore to learn, be open to opportunities, learn more about what you don't like, what you do like, dig deeper, learn more about yourself and your what's out there, and eventually you will find that fulfilling path. But last but not least, because I'm Mama Laoshi, the mom teacher, there's also another thing that we teach the kids. Through this process, it's not just it's so fun, exploring is very fun. But just keep in mind, you're also kind of like a video game in a way. You're building up your competencies. Like we believe that the more competent, not blindly achieving, but the more competent you are as a human, more opportunities will be in your reach. But only competence isn't enough. You need to have that character to align with your competence. So competence, character, and I'm sure that you guys will make big waves in this world, and I can't wait. Yeah.
So inspiring, love it. Alan.
Hey, I don't want to just say the same thing that you guys have said, but I kind of agree. I think being resilient is really important, not giving up when times are tough. I think one of the biggest lessons I ever learned was when I was a teenager. I applied to a scholarship to study at boarding school in Canada. And boarding schools, I don't know how many people have been to boarding schools, but they can be really tough for newbies. And so in the first 2 months, I found it quite lonely and very difficult. I questioned why I was even there. And then slowly I began to make friends and turn it around. And by the end of the year, I'd had such an amazing experience. And I learned a really important lesson, which was if you do something that is difficult and then you overcome that difficulty, the power it gives you to then explore the rest of your life, thinking, well, I can do difficult things because I know I can turn it around. I've had experiences with that in my career as well. In one of my previous companies, my colleagues told me they thought I was a bad hire. They thought I shouldn't have got the job. And so instead of crying and quitting, I proved to them that I should have got the job. And about 8 months in, a few of them started, okay, actually I get it now. It's like you're really good at this stuff. And it's powerful. It's like you can overcome challenges, you can be resilient, you can achieve things when it seems like things are against you. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Yeah, I think adding to what's taking risks and being resilient, don't give up. Another thing I realize is you're not alone. Just like Janelle said, that the universe kind of has a way, and I think we can leverage the power of community, like the community you're in right now. Talk to people and find out their experience, like Nancy talked to 200 people to find out her way. I think along my personal journey, I also get a lot of help from my friends, my ex-colleagues. I landed most of my opportunity through the connection and not Buildingh 104. It's really the people who have the power to connect and also to build on each other's strength. So I think just remember you're not alone in this. Get help, talk to people, and you'll be surprised how much help you'll get. Yeah.
It is amazing. It sounds like a sequence. So yes to things. Stay curious. Keep trying. And find your people. Wonderful. Thank you so much. My last question, which I really hope to get to all of you. What makes a great leader today, you think? If you can just name one thing, one quality that truly matters, what is that?
I'm going to bring up
you need to seem to activate.
Exactly.
I'm going to bring up the word that you brought up just now, resilience. I don't think I truly knew what it meant to be a leader until I was thrown into the fire. When I said yes to that job, being a flight director in the mission control, you have to understand that at NASA, 5 years working was considered a baby. You are considered that you do not know anything. And in their eyes, you need decades of experience to be able to take on such a leadership role. Once I was in it, what I realized is that in order to do challenging things, which in the industry we always say space is hard. It's the phrase that we all know, we all say, space is hard. So if you're going to be the person in the room with time pressure, imagine you only have a couple of minutes before before your pass is over and you lose contact with the spacecraft. Fix the problem now. Resilience is so key to not giving up and to inspiring those around you.
Can I go? So I think I have a good answer for this because I work as an executive consultant, right? So I deal with the best of the best in the market. And the thing that I've learned is that the most impressive people, they're so warm. They really are such a great combination of hard and soft skills. I mean, it's such an honor to just be sitting amongst these women because I think they're all incredibly impressive people. But at the same time, when you meet them, there's no big ego. They're not keen to show you how much better they are than you. They're incredibly warm. It's hugs and it's warmth and it's comfort, and those are the people that do the best. Those are the people that achieve the most because they are lovely people and they're smart. You don't need to be mean and rude to colleagues and people. You don't need to be the best of the best. They have everything. They're a real great combo. Yeah. So be nice to meet you.
Yeah, I think adding along that line, when we're looking at all the applications for the Fulbright scholarship, the one thing we're looking at is the empathy. Being a good leader, I think it requires a lot of empathy because you need to know what your audience needs, what your clients or who you're talking to, what they're looking for. If you have that empathy, then you'll do a better job telling your messages and telling all the work that you're doing. So for me, I think empathy is not just understand, but that also shows that you care. So being a good leader means that you care and you understand your people and you try your best to support your people.
Tracie, you definitely have that. Every time I talk to her, I feel so much understood and so much loved. Last but not least, Laoshi, you're preparing our future leaders and millions of them. So what is that one quality we want them to hold?
They all said it really well, but if there's one thing I can add, and then also to add in, sprinkle in a little bit of Harvard, because there's a lot of MIT at Harvard Business School. They claim that they're training the leaders of the next generation. They claim that they're training leaders, but we're often asked, like, what is true leadership? And what are some leadership qualities? And in the end, we realize that there's no one form or shape. It comes in any type. Like, there's different ways to lead, just like we're all different people, right? You can probably hear from today's speeches, we all have authentic paths, we all have different things. So if there's one thing that I can urge and share with you is that when you think about leadership, also think about you. How can you authentically be true to yourself? How can you lead in your most unique way? What are you the best at? What's your personality like? Because I think that really shows. You need to be in alignment with yourself and what you do. That's, I feel like, the essence of a really good leader.
Wow, amazing. So be you, be the unique you, and along the way, live other people out as well. Build a community and look around. This is an amazing group of people. So we hope that you all get a great opportunity to get to know each other. And with that, thank you so much.
Lead way, please welcome. Before that we have that discussion, first of all, I would like to invite our Commissioner Joe to deliver a little briefer presentation first to all the ladies and gentlemen to understand a little bit. Please put your hand together as a welcome, Ms. Joe.
Hi everyone. Good morning, distinguished guests and dear friends. My name is Cho, and I'm the Commissioner of Department of Youth and Taipei City Government. And before we dive in, let me just say I've only been this role for about 4 for months. So today, I'm here to give you a big picture look at what our Department for Youth is all about. And when it comes to the deeper stories and real life examples, I'm sure Mr. Wei Ying, our former commissioner, or Professor Zeng can share much more with you later, okay? So before now, let me walk you through, what was that? How Taipei has been building our own approach to youth engagement from the ground up. Okay, it's a great honor to welcome all of you today and to share how Taipei City has been building its own unique path to youth engagement. So, but it's not just a story about policy, it's a story about starting from zero and how young people are shaping the next chapter of our city. In June 2024, we established the Department for Youth. Not only a milestone for Taipei, but also for all of Taiwan. Perhaps Wei Ying could share more about those early days, okay? So we begin with one simple yet powerful idea. That's how youth explore society, careers, and the world, so they can be better understand themselves. To do that, we build our work around 3 pillars: global engagement, career support, and civic engagement. And we became the first youth agency in Taiwan to create a dedicated division of global engagement.
The words of Taipei, a reflection of Taipei's growth.
Oh my God,
city deeply rooted in the local culture while actively engaging with the world. And before we start the afternoon section of the summit, I would like to invite, ladies and gentlemen, later I will announce all the distinguished guests here in this room. Please give them a really big warm applause. But before that, 邀请摄影老师来到舞台上，我们请市长跟我们的贵宾共同来一张超级大合照。来，我们首先看一下我们前方的摄影镜头，哇，好多个摄影镜头来，我们等一下我们的摄影老师慢慢走没有关系，不用跌倒了。好，哇，好多的，还有吗？来，最后3秒，还有没人要上来？好 ，OK， 好，来帮我看向前方的摄影镜头，来看中间的摄影镜头，中间的女生 ，3、2、1， 耶！ OK， 来我们看左手边的 left hand side，OK，in 3、2、1， 耶！来右手边的 right hand side，in 3、2、1， 耶！ OK，thank you really much， 谢谢我们的摄影老师还有录音老师 ，Thanks to all the photographer, videographer for having a great photo for us. Thank you really much. 那我们今天呢，不只是由我们的市长今天亲临来到现场来参与，由我们今年度台北市政府青年局所举办的国际青年创未来的论坛之外，我们今天也邀请来了非常多的与会贵宾，今天共同来到现场来为我们共襄盛举，为我们共同庆贺。And right now, I would like to invite the distinguished together from the government who also spared their time to be here for joining us together in this summit. And later I will announce their name. Please put your hand together for them. Thank you really much. 我们掌声首先欢迎到的是 the Commissioner of Department of the Environmental Protect， 掌声欢迎台北市政府环境保护局徐世勋局长，欢迎局长，欢迎。And also we have distinguished from Paraguay， 我们掌声欢迎的是巴拉圭共和国大使馆的临时代办来到了现场 ，Please welcome Adriana，welcome， 以及台北市议员郭昭言议员的 Council of Taipei City Council。 台北市政府研究发展考核委员殷伟主委，欢迎主委的 Chairman of Research。 台北市政府社会局姚淑文局长，欢迎局长。The Commissioner of Department and Social Welfare， 以及台北市政府资讯局赵世龙局长，欢迎局长。And the Commissioner of Department of Foreign Technology， 以及台北市政府捷运工程局的郑德发局长，欢迎局长。And Commissioner of the Department of Rapid Transit System， 以及台北大众运输股份有限公司赵少莲董事长，起立，掌声欢迎。The Chairman of the Metro Taipei， 以及台北市政府人事处的王崇斌处长，欢迎处长。Commissioner of Department of Personnel， 台北市政府客家事务委员会的吴文德主委，欢迎主委。The Chairman of Taipei Kappa Affairs Commission， 以及台北市政府观光传播局的薛秋果副局长，欢迎局长、副局长。The Deputy Commissioner of Department of Information and Tourism， 以及我们早稻田大学台北国际交流中心的所长今天来到现场 ，and also Satoshi Sumaya-san，welcome， どうもありがとうございます。以及台北市政府国际事务委员白建文委员 ，Committee Member of International Affairs Committee。Welcome all the listeners together. Thank you really much for sparing your time for joining us together. 今天我们非常荣幸邀请到这么多位的贵宾以及市长今天亲临来到现场来参与我们今天青年局非常重要的活动。那现在我们来邀请我们各位嘉宾用一个热烈的掌声，那我们来掌声欢迎我们市长为我们致辞，掌声有请蒋万安市长。Ladies and gentlemen, please stand together to welcome the Mayor of Taipei, 万安蒋。
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Distinguished guests, youth leaders from around the world, and friends from the media, welcome to Taipei. It's truly a joy to have you all here today, surrounded by the energy and passion of youth. Taipei in the summer is hot, lively, and full of spirit. We hope this city and the people you meet here will leave you with great memories. So again, thank you for being here. Taipei is a city that keeps moving forward together. We have 30 minutes of free U-bike rides. It's a simple way for anyone to explore the city and feel connected. NVIDIA is also setting up its new overseas headquarters right here in Taipei. We're building a city where technology, sustainability, and innovation come together. But a future-ready city needs more than smart bikes and global tech. It needs to draw more young people in and gives them the space to grow and shine. That is why, in June 2024, we established the Department for Youth, the first of its kind among local governments in Taiwan. Our mission has been clear: to walk alongside young people as they discover who they are, to support them as they engage with society, to help them build meaningful careers and connect with the world. In just over a year, we have launched programs in 4 key areas: career development, civic participation, global engagement, and self-discovery. On careers, we've offered real-world exposure and strong support for young entrepreneurs. But our vision goes far beyond jobs. We have created the Taipei Youth Advisory Committee. Chaired by myself, 35 youth representatives are now advising on major issues like climate change, AI governance, social equality, and Taiwan's role in the world. But we know the future, it's not just about local, it's global. That is where our Global Engagement Division comes in. It is the first youth diplomacy office created by a local government here in Taiwan. We send Taipei youth out into the world. Through our Youth Overseas Internship Program, interns work at global companies and nonprofits. We have launched volunteer programs in Southeast Asia, where second-generation new immigrants reconnect with their roots while giving back. We offer international development subsidies too. So far, over 100 Taipei youth have traveled to more than 20 countries for global forums, performances, and competitions. And at the same time, we are welcoming the world here. Last year, we hosted interns from Harvard. This year, our international student internship program welcomes students from UPenn, Princeton, Waseda, and more. They work alongside our teams for 2 months and help shape our youth policy. They experience what public service in Taipei looks like, up close. That brings us to today. One of our proudest milestones, the Global InnoYouth Summit. This summit is more than just an event. It's a platform, a conversation, a spark. We've invited youth leaders from over 40 cities that come with ideas and a desire to make a difference. We're also honored to welcome some incredible speakers. Janelle Wellons, former NASA engineer, will remind us to embrace opportunities and not fear failure. Chen, who went from Taipei to Harvard, now supports over 100,000 families through tech and parenting. Namge from Bhutan will show us how sustainability and happiness can grow together. And Stephen, once an exchange student here at Mclvor High School, will remind us youth is not a warm-up, it's the main act. From today on, Taipei is a friend to the world, and everyone here is now the friend of Taipei. We hope you'll bring the spirit of Taipei with you, and we hope you'll come back again. To build, to connect, to keep this journey going. As the youngest ever mayor of Taipei, I thank you all. Welcome to this journey of action, and welcome to Taipei. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Once again, a really big applause to our Mayor Chang. Please, Mayor, remain on the stage. We would like to have a big photo to remark this very remarkable day and also very important day for our Global InnoYouth Summit, powered by Development for Youth. Thank you really much for your really great support. Just as you say that Taipei makes friends with every people around the world, so right here, everybody gathering together is showing that spirit, as you say. So right now, we would like to invite all the distinguished guests that I just announced her name. Please up on the stage, have a photo together with our mayor. 邀请我们刚刚唱名到的所有的贵宾，瑞塔唱名到的所有的长官、政府部门的贵宾，邀请您首先来到我们的舞台上。首先先来到舞台上，来跟我们的市长来合照第一张。The first photo, we are going to welcome the government supervisor and also the commissioner and also the very important honorable guest to have a first photo. The next photo, we will invite the speaker to up on the stage together. For the first photo, let's welcome all the government distinguished guests to have a photo together. Thank you really much. 首先第一张照片，我们要来先邀请我们政府部门的长官，刚才唱名到的长官来和我们的蒋市长来共同的合照一张。有请蒋市长站在舞台的正中央。那我们也请我们的各位的贵宾站在左右两侧。Please look at the camera in front， 看中央的摄影镜头的女生。The lady in front, please look at the camera in 3, 2, 1. I say Global InnoYouth Summit. You say 赞. 赞 is good in Taiwan words. So Global InnoYouth Summit. 赞. Thank you. Please remain on the stage right now. We are going to welcome all the speakers today to be in front of the stage to have one more photo with our honorable Mayor Chang together too. Please, all the speakers today, the distinguished guests, the expert, please move in front of the stage. Please look at the camera with your really big smile for the first photo. In 3, 2, 1. I say global InnoYouth Summit. You say Zan. Global InnoYouth Summit. Zan. Thank you once again.
Hello everyone. And no pressure after the series amazing speakers in the morning and then the city mayor and now I'm here. Feeling great. Hi everyone, I'm Sophia Lin. And it feels incredibly meaningful for me to be back here to my roots, to my hometown where I started, and to talk to this group of next generations of changemakers, innovators, and dreamers. And to share this topic that's deeply personal to me, and something that I wish someone had told me when I was younger. Before we jump into this topic, let me share a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Taipei, Taiwan, and today I work across continents, across industries, and building as an investor and operator, building and scale companies. I'm the founder of Esquare Lab, which is an investment company that invests and operates in real estate adjacent service business. I also, before Esquare Lab, I was in banking, private equity, and also did my own tech startups. I'm also a proud national Taiwan University alum. And yeah, hello to you people. And also later earned my MBA from MIT. So when I got this invitation to share a little bit of a topic with the next generation of innovators, I was thinking to myself, like, what should I talk about? What I wish that people told me 20 years ago when I was younger. The fact is, there are so many bestsellers, TED Talks talking about the path to success. And quite frankly, if you are here today, you're probably one of the 1% overachiever, over-motivational. So you've probably read or listened to all these talks more than I have done. So today, I'm not going to share another roadmap to success. And in fact, after spending 20 years figuring things out, I realized there's no universal roadmap because there's no universal definition of making it or universal definition of your dream life. When I was younger, when I was in college, I thought life is like this. You climb ladders, you check every box, and you rise to the top. Fast forward 20 years later, my life was like this. It was a mess, it was messy, full of loops, full of curveballs, full of sharp left and right turns. And sometimes you choose that turns, but sometimes life chooses turns for you. And with that, you realize life is not a linear process. And in fact, if you look at this meme that I compare my original thought and my later realization, this is actually a popular meme that you can search online for startup process. So when I started working on my own startup, and I realized that, building a startup is actually like building your own life and building a life that's on your own terms. You don't need a perfect plan, but you need a tool, a framework that helps you along the way to shape the life that you want to build for your own. So here I want to share a tool that's been useful to my own personally. It's called Lean Startup Principles. And for those who don't know, Lean Startup is the concept introduced by Wright. It is used widely for startups to build, iterate, and test their idea, and from there build, scale, and develop further at a lower risk, at a lower cost. And the key concept of this is a loop called build, measure, and learn loop. So the idea is that you don't need a perfect idea, just like you don't need a perfect plan for life. But you have an idea, you build an MVP, a minimum viable product for that. And from there, you can measure the data, the feedback, and then based on those feedback, you learn from that and build the next version of your MVP. And then you keep continue this circle, iterate, build, and scale. So that's, think about like a hypothetical example. Let's say I was back in my college first year. Just very vague idea, I wanted a global life. What does that even mean? I don't know. But global life buzzwords combined together sounds great. You know, as an NTU person, like, yeah, that's something I want. But what exactly is that? I have no idea. So to build something, to start building this, maybe the very minimal viable product is just to gather a small group, local club, and you just gather a few friends that from diverse cultures, different nationalities, different languages, and you interact with people, you talk to people. And then from there, you check on yourself, like what excites you, what drains you, what do you like and what do you not like. And maybe you learn something surprising, like you thought really you're drawn to US culture, but turned out by talking to many people from Africa, it's like, wow, Africa is super exciting, fascinating culture-wise and everything. And this is something you never knew, but then you learn from the process and you can build a second version of that MVP from there. And that is a concept for you to start building something that you dream of in the future. But here is the kick, because that sounds like an easy process, but we all know building a company is not easy. Same goes to building a life, right? Because we don't have unlimited resources. It might be your capital, your money, it might be time, it might be your skill sets, just like in a startup company, you don't have the right team. So understand your own resources and constraints is extremely important because you have to build your MVP based on these constraints. And this will help you to then further understand, oh, what do I not have right now to work towards my next goal? Then you need to go out and acquire it. So constraints are not really the blockers, it's actually your design boundaries. So when you realize, I really want to, say, go to Africa, but hey, I don't have the money, so I need to somehow maybe work 3 jobs to try to save money. Or maybe there's some way that I can leverage my network because, hey, I know a friend's friend whose relative opened a company in Africa, so hey, maybe I can just take a unpaid internship and then go to Africa and explore. So from there, by understanding your resources and constraints, you can then iterate your product and build a second version of your product and go from there. And here's one more kick. When life goes very well, sometimes things change. Because this is an organic process, it's not linear. Sometimes you change, maybe internally you realize one day you wake up like, oh, this is not what I want. Or sometimes the world changes. And just a very recent example, 5 years ago, no one knew that global pandemic will happen. And a lot of people will have had to adapt and change the way they live forever. Same thing happening right now, just right at this moment, the new AI evolution is changing job landscape fundamentally and forever. When you are facing those changes along the way, you need to be agile and you need to be adaptive and pivot when necessary. So when you develop this mindset, and then just a quick recap, you have an idea, you build an MVP around it, and then you measure the data, you feedback from yourself, from external, the macro environment, and then learn from that and build a second version, iterate, understanding your resources and constraints, and pivot when necessary. So I'm ending this talk with one question to everyone here, especially if you right now just started building your life. What is your version 1.0? Please don't tell me that 10-year plan you write in your school application or you perfectly crafted for your job interview for McKinsey. Be having that honest, raw, and hard conversation with yourself. Really understand yourself along the way, because you are going to have those conversations all the time for the next 10, 20 years. And using the same method, building your life on your own terms. Because the dream life is not found, it's created, built one small experiment at a time. Thank you for everyone. It's
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you really much for your really meaningful speech and very inspiring speech to all the ladies and gentlemen, all the innovators today here in this room. Okay. And also human-centered approach. Please welcome Ponso.
Hey everybody, thank you for the introduction. Thank you to the organizers, Taiwan Taipei, for hosting this wonderful summit. Before I start, my name is Mclvor. I am the director of a department called Innovation and Technology, and my story and my talk is going to be on Bhutan's innovation ecosystem. The idea here is how do you as a nation or as a community of people build an innovation ecosystem? Something that's been talked about the entire day, something that's confusing, something that requires a lot of resilience, something that requires a lot of I forgot what it's called. Bruno, can you help me out? What was that? The design, something design? Not design thinking, but the specific concept that we tried out in the workshop. Speculative design. Speculative design, yes, right. It's a really interesting concept, but it's something I think we've been doing back in Bhutan. So, for context, we're talking about DHI's innovation ecosystem. DHI is a wealth management company in the country of Bhutan, and we're also tasked with the innovation strategy for Bhutan itself. We play a small role in it, and we also work a lot with the government of Bhutan. To give you guys more context, everything that we do in Bhutan is sort of envisioned by His Majesty the King. This is our fifth king. The monarchs have been visionary and have always guided the people of Bhutan. Two specific things that he did that are very important in terms of the innovation ecosystem. Just about 2 years ago, he introduced the Kelaku Mindfulness City. And what it is a philosophical approach, and it's an approach to rethinking economy as we know it. As of now, traditional economies, when you think about it, it's very extractive. You take something, raw materials from one side, take it out, and make profit out the other. But this causes a lot of imbalance, and it causes a lot of hurt if you think about peoples, if you think about environment and the ecosystems. The GMC approach is rethinking this with G&H values. G&H is gross national happiness. It's developmental philosophy that was created by His Majesty the Fourth King, and there are 4 fundamental principles. One of the principles is preservation and promotion of culture. The second one is equitable economic development. The third one is good governance, and the fourth one is preservation and protection of the environment. With these 4 principles, now what we're trying to do is figure out a way to create an economy that's not extractive, but at the same time can create generational wealth for the people of GMC right now, and then soon, hopefully, the philosophy will spread across the world. The second thing to keep in mind is DHI and the creation of DHI. DHI was created in 2008 through a royal charter signed by His Majesty the Fifth King. The attempt for DHI was to separate the political powers and the wealth of the nation. The wealth of the nation belongs to the people, so DHI was tasked and mandated to grow and develop the wealth of the nation. Now that there's these two concepts you have in mind, one is GMC, one is DHI, I'll go in a little bit more into the details of the various frameworks that we use, and then when I say frameworks, these are designed, but these are very dynamic in the sense that there's a lot we don't know and there's a lot that's changing. It's very iterative in the way we're approaching this. This is a snapshot of DHI. DHI is a holding investment company, 20 plus portfolio companies in various industries. We have a portfolio management strategy, we have an investment strategy, but we also have the innovation strategy. And the innovation strategy is what I'll be talking to you guys about. The innovation strategy is how do we develop the innovation ecosystem for Buildingh. The Department of Innotech has been a department for 5 years now, and within that 5 years, we've actually evolved in terms of our objective and our vision. We started off with thinking about how do we Bhutanese create technology and contribute to the world? How do we develop teams? Can we have a VC industry in Bhutan? And can we do fundamental R&D? Those were the 4 fundamental questions that we started off with. And as we were developing technology, we realized that there's no silver bullet approach. We need to do multiple things. And we don't know who would be the other players in the ecosystem that would do this, but we knew that we had to act. So that's why DHI Innotech sort of evolved into thinking about the Buildingh Innovation Ecosystem Strategy. We see 3 core actors or players or roles that we, DHI Innotech, play. First one is the top of the triangle. It's called drivers. What are drivers? DHI Innotech has a group of 20 plus team members doing applied research and trying to scale the research into startups and potentially starting new industries for Buildingh. The second role that we are playing, or we're thinking of playing, is the role of enablers. How do we enable an innovation ecosystem in Buildingh? What are the challenges? What are the blockers? What stops us? Most unfortunately for us, it always comes back down to money. So to address this, what we're doing is we're creating a national innovation fund. The fund is to de-risk investments for investors, startups, put in investments for research, for academic institutions, to do capacity development, to get in startups and innovators and academics from either local and international into our ecosystem so we can work together to contribute not only to Buildingh, but to the world. And the idea here is it has to be aligned to G&H principles. The third leg of the system is the facilitators. Within DHI Innotech, we're lucky to have the facility of the Jimmy Nomachu Super Fab Lab. A lot of the MIT alumni will probably know about the Fab Lab network. What we have is the world's fourth super fab lab in the world. We worked with the Media Lab, Professor Neil Gershenfield, and he's helped us establish that. We're propping up the Jimmy Nomachu Super Fab Lab to be a platform or a network where all these intellectual people can come together. It's not only innovators, but academic institutions, but it's also the startups, and potentially it's also the investors. So this is our triangle strategy, the approach we're taking to developing the innovation ecosystem. Will it work? We're not sure, but are we doing the work? We definitely are doing the work. This is just the portfolio of projects that the Innotech works on. I'll just read the headlines. There's IoT, Internet of Things. There are projects and research we do in AI/ML. There's blockchain. There's also green tech and renewable energy. There's drones and robotics. And then obviously there's the lab efforts and the efforts of developing the innovation ecosystem. Just one more slide going into this. I just talked about the multi-channel National Innovation Fund. I mentioned it before, it's a second leg, and it's also our biggest challenge as of yet. What we're trying to do is gather people with the same type of interest that we have. If looking at technology and innovation to contribute to the world, to make it more sustainable, to make it more meaningful, mindful, to make it more happy. What we have is a youthful team, a youthful country, and a commitment to do this globally. What we don't have is the know-how of international markets, the know-how of handling, managing money, the know-how of seeking funding and financing. So with the Multi-Channel Innovation Fund, what we're open to doing is we're actually open to having a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. And should our aims be, our goals be synergized, we're happy to work together. before I go, that was my last slide. Before I go to the innovators, the startups, and to the youth of Taiwan, Taipei, and maybe anybody else who's listening to this, maybe who's not from Taiwan. In terms of innovation, I think the first thing that comes to mind is you need vision. The vision does not need to be clear, it just needs to be a direction. We know about the Gallup Mindfulness City as a team, as a country. We don't know how to get there, but we're going to put in the work. The second thing you need is resilience. There are going to be many challenges, and wow, innovation has been a wild ride. I would have thought that I would be here in Taiwan, Taipei this year, or even sometime in my life. But because of the resilience and the work we put in, we've met a lot of really cool people like Jossy, Kelly, obviously Emily and Jasmine. And because of all our connections, I've been able to come here and learn a lot more about how other people and how other countries think about innovation. And because of that, you have to be resilient. Again, there'll be a lot of challenges, but you need to be directed by your vision. And most of all, lastly, the most important thing is teams. As of now, we're a team of about 23 or 24. When I say teams, I'm also talking about people. Tracie is here, he's 10 or I don't know how many years younger than me, he's a whole decade younger than me, but we get along great. And we don't get along great because we think alike, right? We get along great because we trust each other. And relations are built on trust, and trust is really important. And I'd just like to end it there. So there's vision, resilience, trust in people. Thank you.
Thank you. So before you get seated, may I invite you to introduce the dress that you're dressing right now to everybody?
This attire is called a go. It's worn by the men of Bhutan. I have a belt here. The belt is called Kera, and boxes underneath. I'm not going to show you guys that. I do have what is called a table. Table is the white shirt I'm wearing from inside, and this is a go for the ladies. Ladies will be wearing kiras. It's longer, more gani. They have a belt, but they also have hooks. Something I learned recently in the last couple of months is these hooks that the ladies wear were actually used for self-defense way back then. It's a very cool history. I didn't realize that until a few months ago. But yeah, if you guys have more questions about Bhutan, about the innovation ecosystem, or goals or kiras, I'm happy to answer. My friend Tracie is also here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much for your really powerful introduction, and thank you very much for your introduction. We should really be proud of ourselves and our culture. Thank you very much for giving us a really great demonstration. Organizers of this conference for gathering us all here, and thank you for having me. It's such an honor, and I've met so many great people. So I hope this talk is just even a fraction as interesting as everyone else who's spoken before me. Okay, let's jump right in. So let's say that you've been invited to tackle a social innovation challenge for a given community, whether it be young people, elderly, rural populations, you name it. And let's say the challenge is well-defined. The design constraints have been laid out, and now you need to go out and learn more about the problem so you can think of some relevant solutions. Where do you start? And what nuances and opportunities might you uncover along the way? There's a nifty little process that many of you may have heard of called human-centered design, a wonderful approach that basically says that the best solutions lie at the intersection of what people want, what is sustainable financially from a business perspective, and what's technically feasible today. But you start by first learning what people think, feel, do, and say. So now, you go out and you start by doing something we call design research. And this is all about listening, observing, and learning from the people that you're designing for, so that you, as the design team or designer, might uncover the key to the solution. But what if I told you that the communities that you're designing for already know and hold the key to the solution that you're trying to create? Really quick intro, my name is Lisa Tacoronte. I also go by Taco, feel free to call me that. And I'm a design strategist and experienced designer with over 10 years of experience in product design
and related fields. I formerly worked at IDEO and IDEO.org, a design consultancy and nonprofit design consultancy where I used human-centered design to tackle social innovation. But in my approach, I often advocate for something called participatory design. And that's what I hope to talk a little bit more about today, as a way that you might think about going out and tackling social innovation. I keep saying that word, tackling. So, participatory design, well, traditional human-centered research or design research asks, who do I need to talk to? Who do I want to go out and speak with? But participatory design says, or asks, who do you invite into the room and who holds power in the design process? Different. And in fact, it asks the questions along the way of your process. Who gets to define the process that you are undergoing to solve the problem or challenge? In learning from people, who gets to prioritize what are important learnings and insights to then design for? And then in coming up with a solution, who gets to brainstorm ideas and then make the really important decision of what actually the solution looks like, what gets designed? Official definition. Essentially, participatory design deprioritizes your own lens or bias in favor of the community. And in fact, it actually is a spectrum. I'll just put all three just in case the clicker stops working. First, you have more of a designer-led process. In a designer-led process, we basically say that the designer is the one controlling what, who you talk to, who you interview, what you choose, etc. And at times, this makes a lot of sense, especially if you're working for a company where it's a product or service, where the person that you're designing for, the user, doesn't really want to or need to be involved the whole process. But they might be happy to talk to you for an hour. So for example, when I was working for a company that makes house appliances and smart appliances for very wealthy individuals, they didn't really care to spend several months with us creating the appliances, but they were happy to talk to us for 1 hour about their oven. In a user co-creative process, the second one along the spectrum, the designer and the community member work together, the participant that you're designing for. So the designer might support, facilitate the process so that the community member can help generate ideas and maybe be part of the brainstorm or part of the discussion. And then the final, further along down the spectrum, where the community holds more power, is community-led design. And this is where the designer facilitates process and capacity building, but the community basically leads research, participates in synthesis to kind of prioritize what's important, and is part of that decision-making process. They even might be part of making and carrying out the prototypes or products that get tested within the community. And when it comes to social innovation or working with communities, it is very important to use a combination of co-creative and community-led design. However, in reality, again, a project or a social innovation challenge might be a blend of all three processes along the way. And that's because to do true community-led design, it takes time, intentionality, and teaching in order to do this well and without creating harm in that community. So let's look at an example from my own personal experience working with IDEO.org. In Dallas, Texas, there's a nonprofit called the Child Poverty Action Lab that has a group called Trust Her. And they partnered up with IDEO.org to help them tackle the issue of, to help them reduce unplanned teen pregnancies in Dallas by improving access to educational resources around sexual and reproductive health. So we wanted to start by learning with young women who identified as female or having a uterus, and the people that influenced them in their lives, like, boyfriends, parents, educators. But we had a little problem, maybe not so little, we had a major problem. When we put ads out there on Facebook, etc., to have teens talk to us, surprisingly, or maybe not, they didn't want to talk to a bunch of young professionals in their 30s about sex and sexual health. Even if you paid them. So we decided to fly out ourselves to Dallas and start hanging out at college campuses and places where they tend to gather to nervously approach them and ask them for a conversation. Like boba shops, very popular in Dallas. And we showed them a ton of sketch concepts that you see below and asked them a bunch of questions to get their feedback. This is more of a designer-led process. But when we began to ask them to collage and paint a picture of what their ideal clinic experience or safe space might look like to get more sexual reproductive health support, that process began to become more co-creative. They began to shape the ideas. Eventually, we launched a service called Esquare. It included an anonymous chat where you can ask any questions, a website with educational resources centered around teens, and a campaign, including social media, stickers, and other cool swag. But as we began to run that service, we learned something really big. You don't know what you don't know. So the younger the teenage woman was, or the teen girl was, the less experience she had around sexual health, and so she didn't even know what questions to ask us. You just don't know. And when they do have questions, they typically turn to this underground network of sisterhood of older women who did have experience that they already trusted. And quite frankly, we just weren't that sisterhood yet. So we needed to go and work with older teens who might be able to be part of that trusted network and help us learn what would really help the broader set of teens in this community. And thus, we hired some of those teens who we met in the earlier phases of our design research process, who could tell us what they wish they had when they were younger, and who were already quite passionate about women's rights and reproductive health. And essentially, they went out and they were the researchers, talking to their friends, testing out our resources and our ideas, and getting us feedback literally on a Zoom call, telling us and creatively directing us on what to update and change and what opportunities to explore. They went out and put some of our campaign stickers and tried our prototypes out in the community, telling us you need to put these stickers in the bathroom. That's where people get a lot of cool information. So they creatively directed the design process, while we used our professional skills to help operationalize their vision. This process now became community-led. Without all these young people involved, this project would have been dead in the water, and there's no way it could have continued to evolve into something that would resonate with them. In fact, one example is the way we developed the brand. So IDEO.org has done its fair share of reproductive health work in other communities and countries. And one thing that we saw quite often, which is what we built our hunch on, is that the brand initially needed to be discreet and subtle. But what we kept hearing from the young women we were designing with in Dallas is that they wanted something that was bold, empowering, and vibrant, because it could help maybe turn this topic into something that they can talk about, something just less, I don't know, taboo. And they loved it. They wanted to be warm and inviting. So we created all these cool little icons that we then printed as holographic stickers, and they would literally take it and put it on their laptop for everyone to see. Quite the opposite. And when we began to go table and spread awareness and information about the various services and resources, what we learned is that the branded tabling and materials was so inviting, it actually drew teens in groups to come talk to us and ask questions. It was very effective. And so we continued to table and continued to table, and what we found, as especially Beyond Us and Trust continued to do this as well, is that they had a lot of questions and they wanted them answered right now at that table. So now, this began to evolve into becoming more of a pop-up counseling service. And now we need to co-create with teens. Well, okay, great. So how do we do that? How do we begin to give you the information you need and want right at that table? And what should the counseling experience look like? So now we needed to create a counselor toolkit, and our initial hunch there was, okay, as designers doing work in sexual reproductive health, we needed to lead with communicating what was the most effective birth control or efficacy. But what we found again in co-creating and community-led workshops and in asking teams to test out and use these tools was that that's not how they made decisions about their birth control or sexual health. They made decisions based on lifestyle choices. Things like, how often do I have to take this? How easy is it to go get it? Where did it show up on my body? They wanted easy, digestible information that built their understanding step by step with the expertise of a counselor. So this became a simple 3-step counseling experience that anchored on this flip book that asked a few questions like, what is most important to you in choosing your method? And based on their answer, it would suggest a few methods. Then the counselor, step 2, would use a small, very visual, very simple card describing the method with really easy to understand language. And finally, when they choose 1 to 2 methods, they were then given that information-rich pamphlet with a lot more of the really important information on how to get that birth control and an action plan. Eventually, the pop-up became more robust as we learned more about what it takes to carry these materials from place to place, and that we began to organize groups of teen volunteers to package the kits with us. Trust Her has since launched a network of people in the community and to train them on how to use these tools to expand their impact. So parents, clinicians, local teens, other counselors are now part of packaging the materials and training each other in order to scale the reach of this program. Very community driven. So this project basically leveraged all 3 types of that participatory design spectrum in order to tackle a very sticky issue in Dallas. And I want to leave you with a few reflections. One is, to millennials, man, young people are scary. But in reality, what I actually want you to remember is that to have lasting impact as a designer in your community and in social innovation, it requires a sense of humility and awareness. Ask yourself, quite honestly, for the problem that I'm trying to solve, who would have important insight? And who really would know what we need to know? What voices should be centered? And how central do I actually need to be to this process? Because when we can learn when to design with rather than for people, we move beyond our own personal lens to create space for communities to see themselves in the solutions and to plant the seeds of shared ownership in that innovation for enduring change. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for giving us such a really nice and also inspiring speech. I do believe that before you're up on the stage, I'd like to introduce you a little bit. Stephen is a co-founder of Luminaire Education, and Stephen will reflect how now he is also an exchange student in Taipei and became a catalyst for building a global educational movement connecting thousands of students and the researcher worldwide. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together as we welcome Stephen Bourbon.
Thank you. Wow. I love this music. Makes me feel so presidential. Thank you guys. My name is Stephen Durbin, not Stephen Bourbon, which would make me much cooler than I am. Hello everyone, 大家好, 大家好. How's everyone? Yes, thank you. Guys, today I realized actually just before I start that all of the other speakers had thank you slides at the end. I don't have a thank you slide. I have nothing to thank you for. Okay, let's keep moving. Today I'm going to talk about my experience. I've got no lessons for you. You're going to take nothing away. I'm just going to brag about me and my life for the next 10 minutes. And then we're going to talk to 2 entrepreneurs as well. Okay? So from Taipei to the world and why you should be weird and not good. Okay? Yeah, take some pictures. That's insightful. Take some pictures of that. Okay, so here's me. That's me, right? I'm the white guy. In case you're wondering, in 2011, my life was changed when I moved to Taipei. I also was changed when I got that haircut. I mean, that is looking good. No reaction to that. Okay, got it. Will not bring up my hair again. But yeah, so I moved here and to Taipei in 2011. I was studying at 建国中学. Is there anyone here who went to 建中 actually? Any 学弟? Oh, one? Anyone else? 1? 2? 2学霸 and everyone else is a 学渣. Okay. Just kidding, just kidding. I'm just showing off my Chinese, guys. But you know. Okay. Anyways, let's keep moving. So I can pretty much trace everything in my life back to 2011, including insulting all of you guys a second ago by calling you a 学渣. My entire life can go back to my time here in Taipei, and I love Taipei. Taipei has given me so much, and I'm so grateful to Taipei and Taiwanese people, and you'll see how it's impacted my life. So I'm going to brag a little bit about myself, but just as a way to say, hey, here's what I'm saying, hopefully it's some value to you, and you can think about whether or not my life is interesting for your life. So here's the company that I run. It's called Lumiere. We have about 80 people full-time. We work with about 3,000 to 4,000 students each year on these really nerdy, individualized research projects. So think about kids who want to study at places like, where all of our interns are going right now. UPenn, Princeton, I see you, Michaela, I see you, Lily. Jenna, I remember your name. She's at Harvard, look at her. These type of students who are really ambitious, we help them do research. And we're totally bootstrapped, we haven't taken any money. We're not really a startup, we're what you might call a business. Okay. This is hilarious that there's a note to my executive assistant to put a picture there, but there is no picture. Okay. Anyways, I was at Harvard as an undergrad, and I was also at HBS as a PhD student. I'm actually now very curious which photos are here. So as we go through this, I also go through this. Oh, here it is. Okay, fabulous. This is the picture of me and a friend of mine. Actually, very cute, someone who's about to come on stage, Kevin, was my classmate at Harvard. We met actually as male models at a fashion competition. Kevin, for obvious reasons, because he's tall and good looking. My roommate was sleeping with the director. Okay, let's keep moving. Anyways, guys, just some truth for you guys. And this is my final thing that I do. I do stand-up comedy in Vietnamese. So I don't know if anyone's a big fan of Vietnamese stand-up comedy here. Okay, no one is. Understood. But I do it, and it's really fun. I'm part of a professional group called Saigon. And my videos have gone really popular. 50 million people have seen some of my videos in the past year, so that's crazy. I am actually the only white guy doing stand-up comedy, so there's not really a lot of competition, but anyways, this is what I do, this type thing. So anyways, these are the 3 parts of my life. The company I run, stand-up comedy, some of my background in school. So what happened? What the heck happened at Jianzhong? I mean, these guys know, right? What happened? So the first thing is that I got really obsessed with learning. And I think I really have to give a shout out to just the Taiwanese people in general, but particularly my classmates in Shixiban, just an amazing group who showed me what it takes to be really, really nerdy and really, really hardworking. I mean, it was the first time in my life, every day after school, we'd finish school, and my friends would go to Shixiban, go to cram school, and then I felt left out for not going to cram school. So I signed myself up for English cram school, and I crushed it, guys. I was amazing. I got obsessed with learning. But I also learned that I didn't like to compete. So the one thing actually I didn't like about my time at Jianzhong was that I noticed my friends really felt quite tense about their upcoming exams. I'm sure everyone who studied high school, public school in Taiwan felt that sense of intensity, of tension. And I was standing there, I wasn't going to take like the 学测, any of these tests, so I was just chilling out, my friends are super stressed, I'm having a great time. And I realized, man, I really don't want to compete like this, because to me, it's hard to beat my classmates. I knew that if I was going to compete with my classmates in high school, I would get crushed, because they were way smarter and harder working than me. So I started to think a little bit about like, how can I not compete with these guys? How can I not compete? And that was one of the core insights for me over the past 10 years of my life. Here's some pictures of me. This is with some of the ayis from the Jiaochu who I spent all my time with. This is me doing a peace sign. I don't really know why they picked that picture, but anyways. And one of the things I found in my life is that in life, when you do weird stuff, when you don't follow the path everyone else follows, you end up doing things that are really cringy. And I don't know, if the word cringy just means like awkward or kind of uncomfortable. And I was incredibly cringy, and still am pretty cringy to this day. Just a quick example, in college my first year, this is so cringy. I wore a bow tie every day for 1 year. That's fucking cringy. That was terrible. That was a terrible idea, by the way. People did not like that. But you also do weird stuff. When you end up doing weird stuff, you end up taking paths other people don't take. So after college, I thought, man, it'd be really fun to learn a new language. I loved learning Chinese. So I decided to come to Vietnam to study Vietnamese. Actually went to Ho Chi Minh City. And you can see this is a picture of me in my language school. When I moved right after college, I went there for 3 months, did a Vietnamese class for 4 hours a day. And I loved it. And what ended up happening is that when I found out that I did stuff that was a little bit different from everyone else, a really nice thing occurred in that I didn't need to compete with anyone. That's one of the things I really like. I didn't need to compete with anyone. And so I'll just give you a quick example. After college, I worked at McKinsey. There actually you do compete with a lot of people. But I kept practicing Chinese, so I ended up transferring to the Beijing office. They didn't let me in the Taipei office, unfortunately. So I had to go to the Beijing office. But when I was there, I noticed that there were a lot of people really focused on education. In Chinese, everyone's very, very Chen, as you might know. Okay, right? So people were paying a lot to do these things like online research programs. I remember going up and seeing someone I knew had started an online research company, very similar to my company today. She had 100 people working at a company. And I was like, what the fuck, that's crazy. This company sucks. Like, how do you have 100 people? Like, I don't think you're that talented. Like, I was really surprised, how did you do this? But I observed this model, I thought maybe there's something that I could do there as well. So a year later, I went back to HBS and started a PhD. You know, my dad's professor, I kind of followed in his footsteps. But then I realized that I didn't want to do that, and I dropped out to start this company, this online research program. And I just want to say that this thing, I mean, I talked in the beginning about things that seemed cool, but at the time it wasn't very cool at all, right? It wasn't very cool, it was actually quite cringy. Starting a research program, it's not cool. Raising money, that's cool. Like my best friend, that's cool, right? That's cool, that's cool. My best friend, Ray, I brag him all the time. He's raised like $50 million, my college roommate. That's cool, right? Doing some random company, that's not cool, right? This is like an education company. Running a tech company. Is it cool? Okay, it's not that cool, but it's reasonably cool. At least reasonably cool. Okay, sorry guys, wow. What is cool for you guys? My God. Jesus Christ. Actually, my EA did make this fun. Becoming a president of HBS, that's cool. That could have been me. That could have been me, the kind of scary man. But I dropped out, unfortunately I dropped out. So. And doing a company in education, I didn't raise any money. For my friends at Harvard, and I'm sure, like, you know, I have some people here who are current undergrads, it's kind of lame, actually. It seems like you're selling out, you're using your degree to make money. It's cringy. It's cringy, to be honest. But here's one belief I have. If something's cringy, there's the profit. So you gotta look at where the cringe is. And why is cringy profitable in life? It's usually because when something's weird, people don't like to do it. They don't like to do it. If it feels weird, it feels uncomfortable, like if you ever posted something on LinkedIn, that's cringy. That is cringy. I post on LinkedIn a lot, by the way. It's cringy. Quang, he posts on LinkedIn a lot. He knows. We'll talk about that in a second. It's cringy. It's cringy. But because it's cringy, it means people don't enter into that field, which means it's not competitive. And that's what you want, okay? So I hate to compete. I hate it. Actually, I'm really not competitive. I compare myself. I feel bad. I feel like a loser. I do it all the time. I really hate it. I don't like to compete. Okay, so I try to not compete. And when you do that, when you're weird, you don't compete. So how do you get weird? A few tips, practical tips for you guys on how to be weirder. So one is just do stuff that you think is cool. That's the best thing. For me, I love languages. I went to Vietnam because I wanted to study Vietnamese. I thought that was awesome. So for me, that was an easy one. It doesn't have to be that for you. It could be whatever's exciting. It could be working at NASA, going to Japan Space Company. It could be building an innovation ecosystem in Bhutan. Whatever it is that's exciting for you, just find it something that gives you energy. And then my second thing is, if something seems hot or cool, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. TikTok, being a TikToker, that's too cool, okay? LinkedIn influencer, much more cringy. So something feels cringy as an opportunity. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna pause there, but I want to bring up two of my friends who they themselves are quite cringy, okay? Well, maybe they don't agree to be cringy. Greg is laughing right here. But I want to bring up two of my friends who I think have exemplified living kind of a weird life. They're both traditionally very successful, but decided to move away from what you might consider the standard path to doing something a little bit weird. And probably for their friends back home, they're kind of like, what are you doing, Kevin? What are you doing, Quang? But they're crushing it. So please give a big round of applause to Kevin and Quang. You guys come upstairs and I'll introduce you guys to other people. The music's back. I love that music.
Can we get an applause for Stephen as well? Wow, great speech.
So originally they gave me 20 minutes, but I didn't think I could talk for 20 minutes, so I invited these two friends to cut it in half. So I'm going to introduce both, and then I want you guys to share a little bit about, that was an interesting sound, about your background. So Kevin here is my model friend, as you can obviously tell. He is incredibly talented, very successful, was a visiting student at Harvard, studied at Cambridge, worked at Google, worked at McKinsey for 4 years, actually moved from McKinsey to Vietnam, started a fintech company, is now running the fastest growing solar financing company in Vietnam. Is originally Swiss, a super talented and very kind person. So give Kevin a round of applause. Okay, Kevin said I'm making him blush. Quang here, cringy LinkedIn influencer. Okay, no, actually he's an incredible person. Quang is originally from Germany, worked at Google for 3-4 years, has founded the largest and fastest growing overseas Vietnamese community called OV in Vietnam. If you know anyone who's Vietnamese, ask them about OV. It's huge, really famous, and all the most talented Vietnamese people are part of it. He's, I think, single-handedly bringing a lot of people from outside of Vietnam back into Vietnam, and also made a big decision to move to Vietnam not too long, about a year ago. So, okay, Kevin and Quang. So I want to start with you guys to talk to me a little bit about the decision to move to Vietnam. And we're not going to talk specifically about Vietnam, obviously we're in the Taiwan context here, but both of those decisions were about you taking a traditional path. In your case, you're at McKinsey. In your case, you were at Google, to then do something, also something of your own. Can you talk to me a little bit about that decision, maybe the decision to start up?
Yeah, happy to share. I think when you were just talking about taking maybe the path less traveled, that resonates strongly with me because I did an exchange to China, to Beijing, and then I worked in Shanghai for a bit. And I was in 2017, and I thought, I'm a little late to the party in China because so much growth had already happened. Now, there was like a trade war with Trump, and there were so many talented people, and they were, just like me. So I felt like, this is maybe not the place to be. And so later there came but I realized that Asia is like where all the magic happens, all the growth is at, and I wanted to go back. And then I just looked at Southeast Asia as maybe the next frontier to go to. and that's why I picked Vietnam to go there and see what's happening there.
So just on that, it sounds like you went to a place that was hot, and then you thought, oh, actually, it's a little competitive. I don't want to walk away.
A little too hot.
A little too hot. A little too hot. Kevin Juncker. Okay. A little too hot. I think that's right. Quinn, I'll pass to you to talk about your decision.
I think the important difference between me and you two is I'm Vietnamese. So the decision to move to Vietnam is as simple as, and we had this theme I think today where Taiwanese also returned back to here. I think a lot of us can succeed overseas, when we follow often the more conventional, maybe even Asian parent-induced kind of career path. For me, it was as simple as I know Germany. This was chapter 1 of my life. I think it would be a waste of life to not have spent a chapter in a country where my parents from. And this just coincides with it now being super hot, and I just piggyback on that as well. And yeah, it's that simple for the experience. If there would be a memoir about me one day, I want to have that story that I've returned, and I feel my impact is biggest home.
And can you, I'm actually curious for both of you guys, because I think both of you guys exemplify people who had and still have very successful careers, but very traditionally successful in the sense of Quang, you were at Google for like 4 years. You on the side, Quang is such a legend, by the way. He was working at Google on the side, started OV initially as a LinkedIn group, and then grew, and now it's this very successful company. But can you talk to me about the moment when you said, hey, I think I want to make the jump away from doing this job and doing this full time? How did you think about that?
I think someone mentioned it as a speaker as well, where you iterate and you lean in to what feels most natural, most fulfilling. This was really it. I think if you're employed, Google might be one of those companies where you feel actually very taken care of. It's great pay, it's quite a soft culture, it's chill life for it's a good life. So I always say what is better than this might be only, you go maybe Frontier Tech, OpenAI, Anthropic, you join a very hot startup that will break through, and the last thing is you build your own, right? So I feel these are the three that might trump or be better than Google. And so for me, it was really the third. I did my 9 to 5. I felt everything that was post 5 p.m. and on weekends, which was OV, just felt more meaningful to me. This was something where I could be uniquely me, whereas in Google, I'm just this tiny part of this big machine. So I leaned into that. I did more cringe things. I became more unique, and now, I never look back.
But that was not just for going for you, your journey. It wasn't as if you started then you left. Actually, you worked on it for a couple of years. Is that right? Can you just say a little bit about that process? Because I think part of it is we're talking about, hey, be weird, and that sounds really easy, but actually it requires going off path, which I think is quite hard. So I'm curious how you got there. So it wasn't as if you just jumped off immediately.
So OV story is really this more typical startup story where you solve your own problems. So I'm building this network and this community which I wish had existed for me. There was no commercial intent behind. I didn't have this model, I didn't have a brand. I just started a LinkedIn group, and probably many don't know even what a LinkedIn group is. It's very similar to a Facebook group. There's just a group of LinkedIn profiles. There's not really interaction between them. And here's the interesting thing. We Vietnamese, we have one family name that's super common. Does anyone know? Nguyen, exactly. So 70%, 75% of the population is called Nguyen. It's the family name. So I just invited everyone on LinkedIn with this family name Nguyen into the LinkedIn group. Yeah, from all the top companies. So in the beginning, we were a lot of McKinsey, Google, Nguyens in the group, and they invited their friends. So they just grew organically. Back to your question. A bit of background there. But yeah, I never had a commercial intent behind it. I think as I was getting into year 3 of Google, it felt like diminishing returns. Yeah, maybe you felt that at some point as well. You have the brand, you know the work, you know the levels you look up, and what will happen to people that are 10 years there, 15 years there, and you just think to yourself, is this it? In a bit of personal context, I met my wife at Google as well, who's also Vietnamese. And so I actually aligned with her, hey, what about you stay at Google? You bring the stable income. We have 3 kids. Can I take some risk? And she luckily allowed me to do so. And so we were very aligned on that, and I took the risk.
Find a wife who works at Google. Understood. By the way, Guang is expecting a child in 2 months, so let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Kevin, for you, I think you had a similar, you know, Kevin, by the way, I always joke that Kevin is the lifelong exchange student. He was an exchange student in high school to Michigan, then he was a visiting student at Harvard where we met, and then was in Beijing, and then came to Vietnam through McKinsey transfer. How did you decide to leave McKinsey after, and Kevin, by the way, was crushing at McKinsey. It's not like he's like, got pushed out, he was like raising the ranks super quickly. I think, for me, I worked at McKinsey, I was kind of pushed out. I was not very good, you know? Kevin was very good. So talk to me a little bit about how you decided to jump ship.
I think for many, you were mentioning earlier, there's some people who are still at university, you know, you want to go to a good school and then get good internships and then get a good job. And at some point for me, it was like, hey, what do I actually want to do? And working for other people as a consultant was not it. I mean, maybe if I was an aerospace engineer working on rockets, that sounds pretty cool. For me, I was making PowerPoint slides, not that cool. So for me, it was clear, hey, I want to solve something real and do something for myself. And so I always explored a little bit on the side. And then I just felt like in Vietnam at the time there was a lot of opportunity, and I decided to grab it. Actually, one of my first, for my current startup, initially when I had the first kind of customer lead, I went to visit him, and I asked Steven if he wanted to come along. So actually we went and visited one of my very first ever customers together. Yeah.
Well, I think, and I just want to ask a little bit about Kevin, because you have an interesting path to like being weird, and one of the ways I think that people are weird effectively is by crossing ideas. So taking an idea in one place, bringing it to your context, and then making it local, like localization of broad ideas. I know for you, you talked a little bit about your company and then how you initially got the ideas. I know that it was working with, seeing other countries, and then how you thought, maybe this could work in the Vietnam context.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, both my startups are actually not that innovative. Like first we built a digital bank for Vietnam, and I just used a really cool digital bank in Europe. And then I came to Vietnam, and to open a bank account, I had to sign like 50 papers. Like, I'm not even joking. Just my name 50 times, and I thought, this sucks. So we ended up building a bank that actually you still have to sign quite a few papers, but not 50. And then for my current startup, I talked to a friend in Europe. They're doing a lot of solar installations, and I was like, and that was in Sweden. And I thought, there's sun in Sweden? I mean, it's so sunny in Vietnam. It should be possible here. And so I started exploring, you know, and then they said, you know, they get all the money from European banks. European banks don't want to finance solar stuff in Vietnam. And I thought, well, but I have a bank, I'm in Vietnam, how about I do that? And so that's how I started. And so I think both these things are, you know, not exactly the ideas are somewhere else. You have to adapt it a lot to the local context, but the spark came from somewhere else. And I think, yeah, sometimes that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. Just take something, a bit of a twist, and make it local.
I have a quick question for the audience. If you're in school right now, can you raise your hand if you're currently studying? Okay, awesome. So most people, and then, okay, in school, okay, I'll see you. So most people here are studying, and mainly, is it just shout out undergrad, master's, undergrad? Shout out. Undergrad, okay. Very unenthusiastic undergrad. Love that, thank you. I want you guys both to go back to your undergrad. You and I are modeling together. Go back to your undergrad, and if you could go back and, I don't know, you necessarily need to change something, but just think a little bit about the mindset that you had there, and how would you adapt it, or what would you be talking to yourself? Are there any moments where you go back and maybe do things a little bit differently, given what you know now? Or the flip could be, did anything serve you well that kind of helped you
achieve what you did now?
And to be honest, for me, a lot of times, you hear these stories of like Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates who start their startup first year of uni and then they drop out. And I think that's cool. I wasn't there at the time. I think I'm actually quite happy. I studied, I did some internships, I felt like I had a decent CV at some point, and then I quit and did my startup. And that gave me this kind of level of safety where I felt, we were talking about this earlier, I felt like, hey, if I don't try entrepreneurship now, maybe I will never, but later I have kids, I have a mortgage. Right now I have nothing, it's just me. And life's pretty cheap in Vietnam, so I was like, hey, I can live a few months without money. But I think it would have been hard for me as an undergrad to say, I'm not going to take that McKinsey offer and just sit around and do a startup. So I think if I could go back and tell myself one thing, it's like keep trying on ideas, because startups don't fall from the sky. It means you have to actually try to solve problems, and then maybe, like Chang, right, some of them will turn into a startup.
Yeah, I love that. To build on that, try a lot of things, but keep going. I think I joined the workshop with the athletes over there. There was one point, be delusionally hopeful. I think this describes me very well. Yeah? And it has served me very well. I think, I'm not particularly intelligent, but I have always shot a little bit above my weight. And I think it came only so apparent when I started my own business how important this is, because you're basically very alone in your conviction. You have the most context about things. No one will have as much conviction as you have, and so you actually have to, have that persistence and almost delusional hopefulness about this, right? And yeah, my parents are working class. I'm the first in my college. I still shot for the best. University of Germany. Got in. I shot for Google. Got in. I built my business. Yeah, kind of good traction now. And I think this is so important because I feel a lot of people actually give up too early, or don't persevere long enough for the fruits and for the signals and for the results to come in.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think there's two things that the three of us all have in common. One is that we all actually didn't start our companies until a few years after college. We all worked. You and I both worked at McKinsey, worked at Google. And then we started a company 3, 4, 5 years after undergrad. So I think to Kevin's point, it's not about you have to be ready right now, but it's about preparing yourself for the future. And the second thing is I do think we all, somehow have gotten some belief in ourselves, which has helped us to get started. So even though it's probably misguided, particularly for one. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, you guys have been so awesome. Thank you so much. I want to give a big thank you to everyone for being with us here today, and a big thank you to the organizers as well. It's been a total pleasure, and yeah, please do cringy things in life.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, Stephen, for your really wonderful speech. And I will definitely punish myself to drink some bourbon tonight to remember that I shouldn't pronounce it right. Stephen, Turbin. Thank you really much. Okay, so ladies and